working with Josh Bard tonight. They work together in the minor leagues. First pitch of the ball game. Fastball right in there. Underway right on time at 7:05. Just a few clouds in the sky. 80 degrees after a very warm afternoon here. Ball should be carrying well tonight. And Detweiler sneaky fast with that heater. No balls and 2 strikes. Ross's debut the other night. 5 innings. 3 runs, 2 earned. Didn't walk anybody. 6 strikeouts. And he gave up just 4 hits. 3 consecutive fastballs to start out Roberts. And Brian has 13 doubles this year. 51, a major league record last year for a switch hitter. Had a couple last night. Off speed, hit to center. Justin Maxwell for the first down. As mentioned, the Orioles 10th in the league with a batting average of .267. Brian Roberts hot over the last week and a half. He leads the American League in runs. In fact, Adam Jones coming up and Nick Markakis are right in the top 3 with him. So the Orioles have the top 3 guys at the beginning of their order all over the bases and touching home plate quite a number of times this year. And here's Jones sporting a .425 on base average along with his .372 batting average, and that's 3rd best in the league behind Victor Martinez and Bartlett of Tampa Bay. Detweiler working quickly. Another fastball 2-0. Jim Palmer and Rob Dibble have rejoined us upstairs, gentlemen.
Good to be with you.
It's nice to be back.
Thank you for letting us go down on the field and perspire.
That ball hit hard to center. Maxwell going back, and he has it at the wall.
Unbelievable.
Justin Maxwell pulls back a homer. And that's the guy who's considered the best center fielder in the organization. And on top of that, guys, when you're 6'5", it helps.
Well, he gets a great jump on this ball, and then he knows exactly because of that warning track where the fence is, and he has to go up and time this jump or he's got no shot. Gets his arm over there, and like you said, 6'5", big wingspan, and he steals a home run away from Adam Jones.
That's kind of interesting. I played with Paul Blair, who was the best that I ever played with, and body control is so important because if you slam into the wall, usually it propels you back. You don't catch that ball.
Here's Markakis' first pitch breaking ball.
And you've seen Maxwell the last couple of days down in the field next to Adam Jones. He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's a couple inches taller. Of course, Adam has done that on occasion, so he knows what it's like.
And if you possibly go 0 for 3, 0 for 4, at least steal some runs away and hits away from the other team. That's what defense is all about.
You're not projecting an 0 for 3 for Justin yet, are you?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Okay.
0-2 to Markakis. That was close with a fastball. Home plate umpire is the crew chief, 26-year veteran Tim Welke tonight. Markakis uncharacteristic 0 for 6 last night, but he hit 3 balls on the button. There's one hit hard. Nick Johnson right there. Because of Maxwell and Johnson, it's a 1-2-3 inning on a couple of hard hit balls. What Justin Maxwell did worth another look. Home run taken away. baseball, but two great plays in that top of the first. Here come the Nats batting .272, third best in the National League, and Ryan Zimmerman the big reason. On base 40 consecutive games, batting average number 6, home runs number 8, RBIs number 5, most hits in the league, and he's second behind Raul Ibanez in total bases. Nick Johnson in front of him, on base a lot. Adam Dunn behind him, and Jim Palmer. How about Koji Urahara?
Well, he's not overpowering. If he throws 89 tonight, I'd be surprised, but he has commanded the fastball well. His out pitch is his split-fingered fastball. Throws a lot of it. And again, there's your 88. Maybe he had 90 once this year. He has pitched very well. Has not won in his last 6 starts, but he's pitched. I mean, if you look at the numbers, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, and 4. Those are the runs he's given up. The Orioles just haven't supported him very well.
Right-handers hitting him slightly better than lefties on the year, 258 to 245. Guzman from the left side hitting .330, and his .360 has dropped him to number 4 in the National League after he had an 0 for 5 last night.
Now, Jim, I know a lot of the Asian pitchers have that little hitch or some kind of like deception. Does Uehara have that in his?
Well, you'll see it right now. I mean, he'll step back a little bit. He's not like Wong.
Is Turris on the backhand side?
Well, I guess what we're going to see what's going to happen tonight. It's going to be a defensive highlight film. And really, I mean, Detweyer's what? He's a young left-hander.
Yep.
Uehara's 34. He's going to throw a lot of strikes. So you assume the ball, when you're a defensive player, is going to be in the hitting zone.
Absolutely.
You're going to be on your toes.
And I think our defense will get much better with a lot of these younger starters because, Stamen and some of the other kids, they throw a lot of strikes. And it keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you in the game, and it's a good tempo. And I think the more strikes that we throw, the better the defense will become.
Here's Nick Johnson. He goes up ripping. Johnson extending his hitting streak last night with a 4th inning single to 7 games, safely in 12 of his last 13. Over that time, hitting .375. Zimmerman to follow. That ball hit hard, but hooking foul into the corner.
Let's take a look at our scouting report. And there it is. Again, no wins last 6 games. And again, that's a little bit misleading. Get better late. As he gets into pitch 61 to 105, the averages are well over 300, 300, 300. And then if he gets up into 95, they're 7 for 15. So he hadn't been able to carry his stuff late into the game. I think a lot of it, when you talk to the pitching coach, Rick Kranitz, he uses so many splitters. Third time through the orders, the hitters have made some nice adjustments.
That's our PNC scouting report. PNC leading the way. And here's Nick Johnson waiting for a 1-2.
So a hot night like tonight could wear this kid out quickly.
Well, that's the interesting point. He's kind of on his own program. He has his massage therapist. He has his interpreter. You can see right there, he is not going to walk a lot of people. I mean, 1 walk in the last 32 plus innings. And right there, just again, a lot of light. And it's kind of interesting. It just seems like all of a sudden you get to the 6th inning and it's not noticeable on the gun. Maybe not as a late life on his fastball. And, the splitters, you've seen it. It tumbles. Pretty deceptive because it's a terrific pitch. As you know, split-fingered fastball can be very effective if it's thrown properly. So I think it's probably a combination. And then last year, he was a reliever. Had some arm problems, so he did not start last year when he pitched in Japan.
One swing by Ryan Zimmerman last night in the 4th inning gave Washington all of its runs for the night, just 2. The Nationals had 1 hit the rest of the game. Had a couple of walks. They did not have 1 hit in the 3 extra innings last night. One guy who walked, erased on a double play. So the Orioles bullpen really did a job last night in that 12-inning game, breaking ball outside. Maniacta's offense, 3rd in the league in hitting, 3rd in the league in runs, behind the Dodgers and Phillies. And the Phillies had their hearts broken at Yankee Stadium today. Yankees got 3 in the 9th.
Welcome to arena baseball.
Absolutely. That's a tough park to pitch in.
Yeah, they had Pettit down 4-1 early when I walked through the clubhouse, so that obviously changed.
Zimmerman's on base again. Hit number 63, his 110th total base 41 games in a row.
Let's take a look at the Oriole defense here at Nationals Park. Fast infield as we take a look around. Reimold just out of the minor leagues. He's been hot with the bat. Jones and Markakis. Moore is Turris, who won a Gold Glove. Brian Roberts. Ty Wigington, R.B. Huff's been in a little one of those mini slumps. So he will take the night off, at least initially. And then Greg Zahn, the 38-year-old veteran behind the plate.
By the way, in that Yankee game, Alex Rodriguez hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the ninth to tie. And then Melky Cabrera doubled in Robinson Cano for a 5-4 win. Brad Lidge, the loser. Adam Dunn 4 for his last 32. Batting average was over 300 a week ago. But he's never hit for that high average. And you might be surprised to realize that Adam Dunn's career batting average coming into this year was 247.
Well, we talked about it last night, and you see him, on a daily basis. He's going to hit home runs. He's going to walk. He's going to strike out a lot. Rick Eckstein, the hitting instructor, said, we're just trying to keep those streaks. The good streaks, we want them to just keep going, and the bad streaks just kind of put a halt to them.
Yep, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. Hitters go through them just like pitchers do.
All right, Jim Palmer called it. It's going to be a night for defensive highlights. How about the gloves in that first inning? Well, by logging into MASNsports.com. Top of the second, Mora Wigington, who made that outstanding defensive play a moment ago, and Nolan Reimold, the left fielder. Ross Detweiler's first inning, 11 pitches, 7 strikes, and he had 2 first pitch strikes of the 3 batters he faced. There's another.
I can tell you, pretty impressive. I know you guys did the game. I watched it the other night because I wasn't working as the Orioles were up in New York. And anytime you come to the big leagues, don't walk anybody in your major league debut. You are commanding the ball. Looks like he's throwing harder tonight. I don't know if he threw a ball over 91. He was 94 in the first inning. And, Rob, you obviously know that's not what the game's about. Velocity. It's about just really making your pitches. And everybody was talking, at least the Orioles, how good the changeup was in the scouting report.
Well, and you can see right now from our vantage point, this is one of the points I was going to make about him. He throws across his body. He's got to constantly come forward towards the hitters, throw the ball, then fall off the mound. It's something that they've worked on the last couple of years in the minor leagues with Ross. So when he's on, he's kind of not throwing across his body, and he's coming forward. When he's not on, he's going to be throwing across his body and battling himself. 1-2 to Mora, and this one to right field for Austin Kearns.
4 in a row to start the game. Ty Wigginton coming up, and Amber Theo Harris. Aubrey Huff not having the kind of season he did a year ago.
Well, he was earlier in the season, but just lately he's been scuffling just a bit. He's been 1 for 18 in his last 4 games, so he told me he just needed a mental blow. Dave Tremblay said with the lefty on the mound tonight, a good chance to give him the night off. It's his first night off all year. Terry Crowley, the hitting coach, sat down with Aubrey. They looked at a little bit of film, saw just some minor adjustments to make. Aubrey did take batting practice today, and if those adjustments are any indication of what's going to happen tomorrow, he smoked one in the upper deck. It's just batting practice, but the hope is he's a good hitter. He'll rebound tomorrow. Bob?
He was a good hitter last year at .304 with 32 homers, 108 RBIs. Nick Johnson plays that one well to the pitcher Detweiler, and Ty Wigginton retired.
Let's go over the PNC scouting report on Ross Detweiler. He's got a repeat delivery, especially on the curveball. Stay on top, keep coming towards home plate, and as I said, stay on top of that curve. A couple times in his first start, his curveball is a little bit flat and more hittable. When he stays on top, he's got that 12-6 break on it.
I mean, we're up so high here, and you really get a great perspective. I mean, he's on the first base side of the mound, and he's only about 6 inches across his body. Mike Rizzo was saying he was a lot, as you mentioned, a lot worse than that last year. So they've straightened him out, and of course, it's very difficult when you step almost into the middle of the left-handed batter's box to get the ball into righties.
Well, I was taught growing up, you draw a line down the middle of the rubber all the way down the mound, and then if you fall on the wrong side, which to a right-hander I would be falling on the left side of the mound, you've got to open up a little bit more, open up your hip and get to the other side of that line, and that's what Ross Detweiler is doing right now. If you drew that line down the center, his landing leg, he's on the wrong side of that line, and thus he's thrown across his body. So they've worked on him a lot with it. Here's the famous Dave's Exmo, Jim, and you know, he does throw a lot of strikes. I mean, how much do you want to tinker with this?
No, you don't. And you know, again, Scotty McGregor wasn't a power pitcher like Ross was, or appears to be. And there's that fastball that, I mean, at 94.
Pretty impressive to me.
But what I like, if we looked at his windup, it's very simple. We were taught break your hands over your leg. That's what he does. Get the foot down.
And if there was a line right there, he's falling on the wrong side of the line. Get rid of that. But you know, it's just to me though, it's trying to save the kid's arm. Yeah. I worry more about it. Kerry Wood went through this with the Cubs. Now he's a short guy with the Indians. He struck out 20 in one game, but he threw across his body, which always created elbow and shoulder problems.
Full count, 3-2, and it's fouled. 92 on that one.
If he gets the ball down, and then that changeup he used so successfully against the Pirates the other night, and then again the curveball was very good when he threw it. He didn't throw it very much. He's going to give them a lot of quality innings, and that's all you can ask of a youngster.
Detweiler trying to retire the first 6 batters he faces. Reimold 1 walk, 4 strikeouts in his first 32 at bats. Zimmerman not able to reach it, but it's outside the bag, and that's usually the case. I think you had a pretty good guy over at that position. If he couldn't reach it, it was usually foul.
Yeah, and again, you can see him playing way off the line. That's where you need to play. It's percentage baseball. This kid's running the ball down and away, even though he will pitch in on occasion.
And that was a good pitch. Yeah, that pitch was down and away. He did pull it, but he hit it on the ground.
And you can see Nolan Reimold, first week in the big leagues, has been a pretty good one. Home run last night on a 3-1 fastball.
And a bouncer to Zimmerman. He had to back up there. Plenty of time to make the throw, and a perfect start for Detweiler in the first 2 innings. Kearns, Harris, and Bard ahead for Washington.
Strikes right here. You see Adam Jones crush a ball. Justin Maxwell times it perfectly, robs him of at least an extra base hit or a home run. A lot of it has to do with the pitchers throwing strikes right there. Christian Guzman leads off. Brian Roberts, great diving play. And then with a man on first, it's serious. Brian Roberts playing second. Ty Wigington makes a great play at first. But more or less, Jim, it's the pitchers throwing strikes. They have a really nice tempo going right now, and it keeps the fielders on the balls of their feet instead of rocking back.
Yeah, Uehara in his whole career, and he pitched to 9 years over in Japan, 1,550 innings, roughly 206 walks. So they knew they got a guy that's going to throw strikes. Could he do it here in the big leagues? He has.
Austin Kearns takes a fastball for a strike. Kearns and Dunn are a combined 8 for their last 68. I think Austin, when he got hit on the hand 2 weeks ago and had to sit out 3 or 4 days, lost a lot of rhythm, Rob, that we had seen him have right before that, because he was hitting at his average up to 250, 260, and was collecting RBIs, getting on base quite a bit. He still has an on-base average of 353 despite hitting 211.
Well, yeah, don't you think Manny acted? Did he say they're both going to get equal time?
Yes, they're going to get equal time, and with Elijah Dukes out right now, they're getting plenty of playing time. There's a base hit for Austin
on an 0-2 pitch that was up and out over the plate.
Yeah, not a very good pitch. I mean, not that Austin didn't like it. 0-2, you usually figure, hey, up and in or maybe down and away. Check this one out. And again, base on balls are misleading because sometimes you're wild in the middle of the strike zone. And that's what Uehara was right there. 0-2 did not, in the new terminology, execute his pitches.
Yeah, and Austin is not really cutting down when he's behind in the count, and Uehara doesn't throw hard enough to blow it right by him. So that 89 right there, perfect on his swing, and hit his bat.
Here's Willie Harris laying down a bunt, trying to get a hit. They'll get a sacrifice for it. And Kearns to second base with 1 out.
Now, is that National League Baseball, or is that Manny Acta thinking, you know what, I got a young 23-year-old lefty who's pitching
that's
well?
Willie Harris.
I think that's Willie Harris.
All Willie Harris. He's like a player coach. He's such a great kid. He's into the game.
See, in the American League, you get nobody out and a runner on first and a left-handed hitter, and you're thinking, okay, how do I get this guy? No, how do I get this guy to third base? How do I get them to third so I can score without getting a base hit? And I'm not saying that that's bad baseball. It's just a different mentality.
I think that was Willie on his own, because Manny's not a big-time bunter.
Yeah, we don't steal a lot of bases either.
Yeah.
I hate. I mean, I loved it when I was pitching and somebody would give me an out early in the ballgame, and that's exactly what Willie Harris did.
Yeah. Here's Josh Bard rolling one over. The runner is at third, but now 2 outs. Easy play for Wigington. Maxwell is next. The Battle of the Beltway's packed with great baseball, great fun, great giveaways, and there's one tomorrow. The first 10,000 kids 12 and under a free Zimmerman Kids jersey, and we want to make sure that you celebrate the charitable work of the Nationals Dream Foundation. You can do that at the ball game tomorrow with all those giveaways by ExxonMobil. Text DC to 90999 and make a $5 donation. So jerseys for the kids and a chance to do lots of good for the Dream Foundation at the ballpark tomorrow. Here's Maxwell. Chance for his second RBI here. Went 0 for 3 with a walk last night. That's a swing, says Jim Reynolds.
Yeah, that's that split-fingered fastball, and that's the way he's pitched a lot of young, inexperienced hitters, and some obviously that have had thousands of at-bats. That's his best pitch. That's his out pitch. Let's see if you can hit it. I don't see too many splitters in the minor leagues.
That went a little bit off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Uehara 112-62 in his Japanese career, with an outstanding ERA of 3.01.
And the point we made, he was a reliever last year. I mean, 26 games, only 14 starts, 89 innings. So they bring him to the big leagues and say, hey, here's the ball every 5th day, or they try to give him an extra day. He's better when he gets that extra day, because we were talking on the way after Rob,
Bob sent us back up here.
Bob sent us to the field that a lot of Japanese pitchers pitch every 6th day. He was one of those.
2-1 to Maxwell.
They pitch every 6th day, and their season is 20 games shorter than our season. So it's not 162 games, it's 142 games. But
most games he ever started, Rob, was 27.
There you go.
Now, he did win a couple of Japanese versions of Cy Young awards, and that was a number of years ago. And again, in National League ball, you got the pitcher on deck. So again, that's another reason you don't bunt.
3-1 to Maxwell, and he fouls it back. Jim, something you said a few minutes ago caught my attention. You said under the new terminology, they call that executing your pitches. So what did you guys call it?
Well, you either make your pitches or not. I mean, now it's it's Kurt Schilling language.
Yeah,
it's Schillingese. You know, I mean, Schilling won the great 216 wins. Can you think of a modern day pitcher other than Kurt that you would rather give the ball to in a big game?
No.
I mean, it was like 11-1 or whatever. Every time he'd get hammered, he'd say, "I didn't execute."
Maxwell lays off, or did he? Home plate umpire punches him out. Nats had a leadoff hit, stranding Kearns, no score, into the third.
Rick and Gail Detweiler, Ross Detweiler's parents, and Ross is the youngest of 3 boys, and I understand his older brothers really have a lot to do with his success here.
Oh, no question. He was, as a kid, always trying to keep up with the older boys and didn't realize that at his age he wasn't supposed to be able to do that. So he just he did what he could to keep up with them, and I think that really helped in his athletic development.
Gail, you're watching your son now for the first time as a major leaguer. What's it been like?
It feels a little, I don't know, unreal, almost like we're watching somebody else's child. But it's just absolutely thrilling, and we're so proud of him. And we just really thank the Nationals for all the opportunities they've given him.
What do you think has been the key to his success?
Well, you can't really put your finger on any one thing. Obviously, he's got some athletic talent that's just given, but size, talent, coaching he's had all through the years, and just the desire to want to be able to do it and do it right and get to the highest level possible. And I think you put all those things together, and it's certainly helped him get where he is right now.
All right, he followed his older brothers a lot, but did he used to get in trouble in school?
She's the teacher.
Yeah, I'm the teacher. No, he really didn't. He was a good, quiet kid, actually.
How about when he was younger and he was the bat boy for his older brothers? He caught the eye of some folks at a very early age, didn't he?
Yes, he did. When he was just starting out in Little League, he was bat boy for his brother's older team, and they would take turns throwing the ball as high up into the air as they possibly could and watch him try to catch it, and he caught it every time.
Okay, thank you so much. He's doing a great job tonight. Gentlemen, back up to you.
Wow, what was that pitch?
A 3-1 pitch that couldn't have missed by much, and the Orioles have their first base runner. It's Greg Zahn, the catcher.
Check the Northrop Grumman pitch track out here.
Well, if it's anything, it's going to be low, and it wasn't. Wow. Well, you know, again, I get.
Well, it's low when it's a matchbox out there that they're trying to throw it into.
Well, maybe not as, I know what, probably back in the early 90s, it was about an 8x10 piece of paper. And then Sandy Alderson.
Now it's 5x7?
No, actually, I think it's got 9x12.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit bigger.
It looked like an index card the other night.
Well, it can from night to night.
Cesar Izturra is really tearing it up from the right side, hitting .414. Overall, he's at .235, 12 for 29 as a right-handed batter. He's, of course, hitting ahead of the pitcher tonight. So
and that's one of the big difference, Rob.
You wouldn't sacrifice it.
Yeah, well, no. In the American League, you may bunt, and he bunts well for a base hit, but not in the National League. Not when you're playing interleague ball in a National League ballpark because the pitcher.
With the runner going, Nick Johnson grabs it cleanly. And the Orioles get a runner in scoring position, 1 out, with the pitcher Uehara coming up. When it comes to tickets, Nationals fans and Orioles fans deserve Major League service. Go to StubHub, official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace at nationals.com. Orioles tomorrow at 1:30. DC 50 joins us here on MASN HD. Then the Nationals are on to Citi Field to play the Mets 3 nights in a row. After a day off Thursday, the weekend in Philadelphia. So we have a Memorial Night game tomorrow evening at New York. Well, Orioles will be home to play a day game tomorrow, 1:35 against the Blue Jays.
I wanted to ask you about what you said because I like that too. You know, even if the pitcher was sacrificing a bunt late in the game, for me, that gave me an out. That gave me closer to 3 outs. Psychologically, it's a confidence builder. You're not even thinking about the runner anymore. Okay, move him up to second or third. You know, you need a hit to get him in or whatever. But, you know, that guy lays down the bunt like you were talking about. You know, you're excited that you got that out right there.
Well, I think in any ballpark, until you get in any league, until you get late in the ball game, you're thinking, how, as a starting pitcher, how do I stay away from the big inning? And them giving you outs early on adds to that. And then again, I played for Earl Weaver, who, you know, he used to be the disciple that you get 27 outs and you better use them, you know, very judiciously.
Now, what about the people who said that a lot of American League teams wait around for the big 3-run homer?
Well, some do, but
I
think that has changed to some degree. A lot of teams, you know, some of the better teams will run you out of the ballpark in the American League.
Detweiler going 3-0 on Uehara.
And he may be taking the next 3 pitches.
Why wouldn't he?
Yep. Well, we know he's taking the next 2, or he should be.
A pitcher's at bat figured in the final decision last night. And Detweiler not even close. You cannot let that happen in the National League when you have the likes of Roberts, Jones, and Markakis coming up. Randy St. Clair to the mound. I mean, I know we can't get into the minds of pitchers. The obvious thing for an announcer to say there, well, that's a lack of concentration. How do you define that? But that's simply something you do not do in the National League.
Yeah, my spin on it is the pitcher's up there. Ross is only, 23, his second major league start. He probably figures he didn't get a lot of at-bats. I want to throw strike 1. Well, you miss with strike 1. Now you start aiming it.
You press.
It's strike 2.
And you start fighting yourself to get mad.
And all of a sudden it's 3-0, and now I'm really going to aim it. And he's down at first base, and now you got a tough out at the plate.
Roberts has not hit into a double play this year.
But he's going to do it. Most likely, it's going to be from this side.
Now, I'm a big believer in throwing breaking balls to try to get your rhythm back and get yourself into good mechanics. Are you a believer in that?
Yeah, either that or a changeup, which seemed to be his second best pitch the other night against the Pirates.
Get that front shoulder back in. I think that was a changeup.
That was 83. Detweiler did not walk a batter in his 5-inning outing against the Pirates.
And what was so impressive to me, Bob, was that the fact that he threw strikes and he was ahead in the count and he used all his pitches. It wasn't like he was predictable.
And I'm going to tell you something that I always had trouble with when my parents were in the building. I had trouble throwing in front of my family. And I when your parents are seeing you for the first time, you're in the major leagues, you try to not impress, but he's not as cool and collected as he was in the first start. I see him rushing a little bit more tonight. He's out in front a little bit too much tonight. And he's leaving the pitches up. And remember, one of the 3 things I said is the MO on him is when he gets out of sync, he's not coming towards the hitter. He starts falling off before he delivers the pitch.
Yeah, and again, we talk so much about it when you're a tall man and he's 6'5", tall youngster. Again, the mechanics probably more easy to get all over the place. And again, what do you try to do? You take a deep breath. He's doing that. You try to back off a little bit. Josh Bard's been out, 3 or 4 times already tonight. So he's doing his part.
3-1 pitch. Roberts can be aggressive if there's something close, but it's not even close. And Ross Detweiler has walked the bases loaded with Adam Jones, who almost homered last time, coming up.
And this is dangerous right here. This is maybe the most dangerous guy in their lineup, and they have him hitting second tonight.
And you know what? He'd take exactly what Adam did the first time, even if it takes a leaping catch to keep the ball in the ballpark. Because I was wild. I once threw 20 out of 25 pitches for balls. It happens. So you got to aim for the middle of the plate. It's probably not going to go there.
You threw 20 out of 25 balls. I find that hard to believe. What did Earl Weaver say from the dugout?
Oh, he didn't come visit. I walked the bases loaded, walked in a run, went 3-0 on Denny Doyle, got him out. Never walked another guy in 10 innings. And it just happens. You lose your rhythm.
You know, if you would have told me that story one-on-one, I would have said, what happened then? Did you wake up in a cold sweat? Had to be a dream.
And it all started on a 2-0 count to Dwight Evans in the second inning against the Red Sox in Baltimore. I just had this feeling he was going to hit a home run, so I tried to make a perfect pitch. There's a walk. Walked the next 3. Went 3-0, and then somehow got out of it.
Couple of fastballs right by Jones.
One thing about Adam, he does hit right-handed pitching a lot better than lefties. Again, how about life in this fastball, Rob?
It's just got a lot of late explosion right there at the end. And if you're going to fail, you may as well fail with the 92 mile an hour heater. Now it's time to maybe mix in something else.
When reading the bat, whether you're a catcher or a young pitcher, and probably a little more difficult for a 23-year-old left-hander, is a very important part of pitching. And when you see the bat head get to where that bat head got, it's time to either a different zone, different kind of pitch.
1 ball and 2 strikes, bases loaded, 1 out. Jones, another hitter who has not bounced into a double play this year. That's a foul ball. Josh Bard pounced up on the ball, stepped on home, and then tagged the batter, trying to get an unassisted double play.
You could have got 4 outs on that play right there. You got on that so quickly. You don't need 4, obviously, but
why do you think that Adam Jones struggles more with lefties? Is it because, and this is a great changeup right here, it breaks down and you see him swing and he misses it and just foul?
Wow, that ball looked like it hit the plate
with
and
lefties
came up.
more than righties.
I think he doesn't see as many.
Fastball by him, out number 2.
Well, that was a great sequence of pitches, though. He threw 3 fastballs in a row, changeup, and then he blew a fastball by him. So adding and subtracting is one of the best things a pitcher can do, especially when he's struggling right here.
Yeah, there's your famous Dave's Exmo, and I tell you, that was an Exmo swing on a good fastball running away from him. Well, that's why they gave him over $2 million, because he has that kind of arm.
Oh, he's got an amazing arm, and he's left-handed, so he could probably pitch another 25, 30 years.
Here's Markakis, who bounced hard to Nick Johnson first time up. That one close to the inside corner. Boy, Tim Welke's got a tight zone tonight.
Well, Markakis is very disciplined at the plate, and it's always nicer to hit 1-0 than 0-1.
Nice. It's one of the best sounds you can hear of the pitchers that love pop.
He used to throw 108 miles per hour. No wonder.
It's only for 15 at a time, though.
Yeah, but it worked. And the problem for the Nationals or any of the teams that try to defend Markakis, I mean, he's got 17 hits to left, 19 up the middle, and 16 to right. So he sprays the ball all over the field, which is why he's around 300 or over every year.
And a 2-1 fouled away. Detweiler now in a position to wiggle out of this jam, but you might call it powering his way out of the jam. He's really gone to his number 1 here against quality hitters.
Well, and Jim said this last night. If whatever pitch you feel is your best pitch that night, that's what you should be going with in this situation.
Defensive swing.
Well, just imagine the bases are loaded. I mean, you know, this is your 4th year in the big leagues for Nick Markakis. You got a 6'5" lefty stepping right at you. The ball's running all over the place. I mean, one of the reasons he's walked the bases loaded because it's not like the ball's straight. And he's got a curveball. He hadn't thrown one yet tonight. And then a changeup to go with it. Not easy to hit off a guy like this.
On a pitch up, Zimmerman tries to cut it off. Nobody at second. I'm not sure where Willie Harris was heading, but Zimmerman looked up for a force play, and there was no player to catch the throw.
Yeah, the Orioles really get it very fortunate right here.
I don't know if Willie Harris was going over to back up and
well,
throw the
you can see him up. Yeah, you can see him up, and he starts over, and then right there, I don't know why he heads the other way. We can't see him, but you could see him in the top right. Now watch him up there. He's going to head to second base, keep going. Nope, he doesn't go, and Zimmerman doesn't have any place to put the ball other than in his pocket.
I don't even know if he would have got Roberts at second base, though. I mean, it was going to be a close play, 2 outs. That was a great pitch by Detweiler. Jammed Markakis, 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
Then he goes first pitch change up to Melvin Mora for a strike. Orioles on top on Markakis' 36th RBI.
I think he's gotten it back. He's gotten the rhythm back. He's got the up tempo. And like Jim said, though, and I think his curveball is maybe his best pitch as an out pitch, and he doesn't throw it.
And a ball in the air to right. So all in all, a good job by Detweiler. Kearns the catch. Orioles a run on 3 walks and a hit. They lead it after 2.5. Jim Hunter joins Jim and Rob in a moment.
Run in the top of the third on 3 walks and an infield hit, and that's coming up down by a run. And welcome in Jim Hunter with Jim Palmer and Rob Dibble. And all of a sudden, both these teams, the pitching has not been good overall, but in this series, 6 runs combined last night in 12 innings, and so far the pitchers have been on their game.
Yeah, well, we have a veteran tonight with Yuri Hart, 34. Pitched 9 years in Japan against a 23-year-old lefty. Detweiler's got some great stuff, but he reminded me of my control when I first got to the big leagues.
Well, and the big thing is, too, it's only his second major league start. He was great in the first one. He's struggling a little bit. I kind of like it. He had to work out of a jam right there. And if you're managing this kid right now, you've got to be happy what you just saw there. Only give up 1 run, and he had the bases loaded with lack of command, walking all kinds of people.
And to put it in perspective just how quickly Detweiler got here, last year he was facing the Frederick Keys, the Orioles A-ball team in the Carolina League. He pitched for Potomac. That's a pretty big rise.
Well, and a lot of these guys are really, meteoric rises to the major leagues. We have a couple of 22-year-olds, a 21-year-old, and a couple of 25-year-olds in the rotation. And I think our oldest guy has about 40 starts in the major league so far. So a lot of growing pains, but you know what? As Jim said, he's got a great fastball, and to get that kind of confidence and only give up 1 run, that's going to be a big deal for Detweiler on the day.
And Koji Uehara now going to work with a lead, as he helped contribute to that rally by drawing a walk. And as Jim Palmer mentioned, he did his job. He kept the bat on the shoulder, as Detweiler in that at bat was having trouble throwing strikes, and he is facing His mound opponent here leading off in the 3rd inning.
I mean, it was kind of like Jordan Zimmerman when he came up. His first 2 starts were fantastic. Then he started getting slammed all over the field on a high fastball. Even if it's 95, 96, he was giving up home runs. I mean, it's tough to learn at the major league level.
Yeah, and I think also what you learn is, first of all, you got to pitch to contact. Number 2, these are the best hitters in the world.
Yes.
So they can be better than you. You have to try to get better every time out. And again, the guys that are going to stay here have to learn, number 1, what they do best, what it takes to stay here, and then keep working on it. And never forget how you got here. I mean, they gave Detweiler $2.15 million because he can throw the ball.
Yep.
And I think we're going to see him do that.
Christian Guzman batting. 1 out and none on.
And I like what you said about Darrell Evans. You were standing there, Dwight Evans, you're thinking, man, he could take me deep right here. That's what pitchers think about on the mound. You start doubting your stuff and you start talking yourself out of pitches. Well, I struck him out last time on a slider. And that's what the pitchers are thinking about, if you want to know what a pitcher's thinking about out there.
Koji Uehara now with 3 strikeouts, with a strikeout of Detweiler. He is averaging about 6.5 per game. This one's popped foul wide of 3rd. And I think the best statistic for Koji Uehara, and pitchers certainly would agree, is how many base runners does he allow? Well, it's only 10.6 for every 9 innings he works. How do you win? You don't let them get on base, because if they don't get on base, they can't score.
Well, you're right. And the problem for him is, they get him over 5 runs a game, but I think that's a little misleading because a lot of those came early in Texas in his 2nd win. But again, he's in every game. He just can't sustain some of his stuff.
Fly ball to left. Reimold in on it. Has it for the out and 2 men down. Yeah, that game in Texas was his 2nd start, and the Orioles held on and won at 10-9.
That was the game George Sherrill, we talked about it last night, Rob, where he said he came in just to get his work. And he said there's never been a Oriole closer 4-run lead I like.
That was the game.
Well, the bases were loaded. It was 10-9 when it finished. That's why he got his nickname, Mr. Excitement.
Well, once again, if you have 4 runs to deal with as a closer or even a short man, you're thinking, well, if I walk 1 or 2, I'm okay. A home run's only 3 runs. And you start playing this mind game with yourself that, I'm behind 2-0 on the pitcher here. Like you were talking about, you really get frustrated with 1 or 2 bad pitches, and it could lead to a couple of walks. Then all of a sudden you got the bases loaded, and that 4-run lead doesn't look so big.
2-0 on Nick Johnson, batting with 2 outs and none on. Uehara's defense has played well behind him in this game. Guzman robbed by Cesar Esteuras, and Adam Dunn was robbed on a nice play by Ty Wigginton. Fastball's high. 3-0 the count on Nick Johnson, who you don't want to walk with Zimmerman on deck.
No, but what is his on-base percentage? Close to .450. I mean, this is what he does. And then the guy behind him has been on, base 41 consecutive games.
Oh, Nick's got the patience of a burglar. He's unbelievable. He won't swing at it if it's not close to him or something he can really hit hard. I haven't seen him hit too many bad balls like right off the end of the bat or jam himself.
3-1. Uehara deals high, ball 4, and there's a 2-out walk. And time now for the Firestone leaderboard, all presented by Firestone, a tradition of innovation. The total base leaders in the National League: Ibanez of the Phillies and Ryan Zimmerman of the Nats, 2nd in the league. Well, Zimmerman, who began the day with the most hits in the National League, has already added a hit. He has 63 hits in this, the 42nd game for the Nats.
Well, a couple of games ago, he was on pace to drive in 130 runs. I mean, that can change a little bit.
And that 30-game hit streak was not a cheapie at the end. The last 10 games, he raised his average 60 points. And he was just kept going up and up and up. 2 for 3, 3 for 4, a couple of home runs. I mean, he was just doing everything. It was amazing.
Well, what's he hitting, over 400 with 6 home runs in May?
And the first thing he does, after he lost the streak, he credits Nick Johnson with the streak. If it wasn't for Nick, the way he was hitting, I wouldn't have had this hit streak. That's the kind of guys we have on this team.
Johnson drew the first walk allowed in this game by Uehara. Here's the 1-1. It's high, ball 2. 2-1 on Ryan Zimmerman. Here are the numbers Jim referred to in the month of May. He began the day first in the league in base hits, tied for 5th in RBI, 6th in batting, tied for 8th in home runs, and 18 multi-hit games. It's a pretty good start.
Yeah, wouldn't you say?
2-1 count. There's a strike, 2-2.
Yeah, you're not going to be swinging at that when you're hitting well because it's a pitcher's pitch. You know, it's an interesting philosophy. Just think about it. If you go up to home plate, you never ever have to swing the bat till you get to 2 strikes. You can look for any pitches because they don't call you out on strike 1 or 2. Manny Ramirez used to have to tell Manny that's ball 4 because all Manny ever cared about was strike 3. That was the important one.
Yep. Just outside, Uehara started walking towards the dugout. And Tim Welke felt it was outside. So the count goes 4-3-2 on Zimmerman.
This is the pitch track. Just hits the outside line right there. It looked like a strike, but
not tonight.
Not tonight. And it's a tight strike zone all year so far.
Well, there are some umpires that favor the hitters, and there are some umpires that favor the pitcher, and there are some umpires that are fairly neutral.
Johnson runs from first, and it's inside, ball 4. So 1 pitch after he thought he had struck out Zimmerman, he walks him back-to-back walks with 2 down.
I think this is a splitter that tumbles. Did it tumble through the zone?
Yeah, Northrop Grumman there on the pitch track, and as Jim said, it was kind of tumbling away from him. But when you're going good, you kind of spit on that pitch and say, okay, I'm going to take that for a walk. When you're going bad, you're hacking at that pitch, even if it was 2-0 and that pitch is coming in. So right now, Ryan Zimmerman's seeing the ball real well. Adam Dunn needs to have a good at bat right here with 2 outs.
2 on by walk, 2 down. And there's a strike, and it's 0-1. Adam Dunn, amazing numbers this year when you look at his walks and his strikeouts. 37 walks, 47 strikeouts, which means he has 84 plate appearances this year in which the ball was not even put in play. That's amazing to me. It's 46% of his at-bats. The ball has not even been put in play, and that's because of that good batting line.
But his whole career, he's done the same thing. and last year, he actually did a great job cutting down the strikeouts. He had like 160-something strikeouts and 124 walks.
Well, yeah,
I mean, his on-base percentage is way higher than his career average.
Of course, cutting down on your strikeouts is a relative term when you punched out 199 times a year before, right? I guess.
Yeah, well.
But you're improving.
Right.
I get your point.
I'm looking to see what Ryan Howard does this year. Last year, I think he had 200 strikeouts. So, 160 would be a vast improvement.
And there have been a lot of great hitters that strike out in that range of strikeouts.
But back in your era, that was unacceptable.
Well, we had Killebrew. I don't know if Harmon struck out that much, but, Reggie struck out a lot. Frank Howard struck out a lot. He hit 48 home runs on occasion here.
Roll towards first. That'll go foul.
But you brought up a great point. Now, wasn't Rod Carew one of those guys? Wade Boggs, Tony Gwynn, guys that they were better with 2 strikes. Almost like they wanted you to get them to 2 strikes, and then they'd foul off 8 pitches and then put the one that they liked the best in play.
I think they felt comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. But I don't know if anybody really likes to hit with 2 strikes. Some just guys are so much better because they know the strike zone. And
they didn't panic?
Yeah, very good.
Uehara trying to get out of it, and just inside again. He's not missing by much. 2-2. Coach Uehara, one of the best in the business, not allowing walks.
Well, he walked 2 and
2 walks this inning.
And if you're the Nationals, you want to take advantage of that.
Has he walked 2, or has Tim Welke walked one of those?
I kind of give Tim Welke one of those walks.
2-2 the count.
You're sitting here with 2 pitchers.
Adam Dunn, absolutely.
And you know what? But I've had a lot of hitters come up to me that are broadcasters now that are complaining about the zone, the hitting zone. They can't believe that the in and the outside part of the plate are no longer there for the pitcher.
Fouled down at the plate. Zorn can't hold on to it.
So when Keith Hernandez says something like that, Jim, I mean, I sit there and I listen. I'm like, you're right.
Well, there are the walks you talked about. And how about the year Jason Bay? Manny who?
Jason Bay's phenomenal up there in Boston.
Boy, is he having a great year for the Red Sox. They get a better defensive player, they get a more dependable player, and they get a guy that actually didn't get suspended from the game. What a great trade.
There's a guy you can count on. A guy that doesn't get suspended. 2-2 on Adam Dunn. And it's low again, ball 3. So Uehara, who does not give in the hitters, he has a lot of these types of at-bats where he'll get 0-2 against the hitter.
And I said this last night that we work pitchers so tough, especially with his. He's up to 52 pitches right now in the 3rd inning.
And again, he is pitching in weather he's not accustomed to. And you better get used to it if you're going to pitch in Baltimore and Washington.
Lined, and that is foul.
Well, I watched a lot of the games this week, and you guys kept talking about all the line drives that we saw some in the first inning that were caught.
Well, welcome in our Battle of the Beltways on Masson. We're at Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. Jim Hunter with Jim Palmer, Rob Dibble, Rob Carpenter, Amber Theo Harris, and Debbie Taylor.
Yeah, Uehara is trying to get done out by throwing him splitters. And he keeps fouling those off, and then he's just trying to go right around that rectangle of the strike zone to try to maybe somehow coerce the home plate umpire, Tim Welke, to call him out.
Another 3-2 pitch. The runners go. Hard hit ball. It hits the base. That's a fair ball. Wigginton runs it down to prevent a run.
Yeah, and Uehara doesn't cover the bag. You at least have to break over to first base. I mean, you're taught that's an instinct. Well, what a break for the Orioles, because that ball's, if it doesn't hit the bag, it's going down in the corner for a double.
Well, right here, this is a very good pitcher's pitch. It's off the end of the bat right there by Adam Dunn. Hits the base, pops up in the air. Ty Wigginton doesn't quit on the ball. But as Jim said, Uehara does not cover first base. It's kind of a cardinal sin for a pitcher not to get over there, at least give a chance to the first baseman. And he seems to be hurt.
I think he's gassed. I mean, again, he runs on his own. The one thing, we had a young bonus kid, a little bit like Ross the Detweiler, Adam Lowen. And Adam was a terrific player. He's now trying to come through the Toronto organization as a hitter, and he was one of those guys on the border. But when he got to Baltimore, I said, you know what? The one thing you have to control here, and there's that splitter, and it goes right off the bag. And I don't think he got hurt. I mean, he didn't even run over there. And the thing is that if you don't condition yourself to pitch in this climate,
I don't think he feels good.
Yeah.
Look at the look on his face. He seems like he's.
Well, you know, this could be, it's hot and humid, not that hot and not that humid. Wait till August and July.
No, you had to have pitched in worse.
Oh, of course.
But it used to be 135 on the turf in Riverfront.
But see, I pitched
out in St. Louis.
I pitched for Cal Ripken Sr. And he told me there's no such thing as shortcuts.
Bounce towards third. Mora bobbles, picks it up. The long throw across in time to get him. And Koji Uehara gets out of it. The Nationals leave the bases loaded. They've left 5 on in their first 3 at-bats. We'll head to the 4th. Battle of the Beltways. 1-0 Orioles. Now the baseball game on a Saturday night, 1-0 Orioles. Birds coming up. Let's get a look at the Aflac trivia question for tonight. Jim Palmer got it right on the money last night. And we'll see what the crew has in store for tonight. Who is the only Oriole to lead the American League in home runs outright?
Brady Anderson.
The only Oriole to lead the American League in home runs outright.
So that could be, let's see, when Frank Robertson won the Triple Crown, did he tie in home runs?
No, he wouldn't have won the Triple Crown.
Well, you could tie.
No, then you don't win it.
Well, then that's the answer.
Yeah, he hit 49 in 1966.
So
Brady Anderson
Brady
hit
with
50 in
1996.
1996.
Did Cecil Fielder hit 50 that year?
He could have.
I think he did.
Yeah.
So I think
Or
Frank
52.
Robinson is it.
Yeah. I would think Frank. Because
you're the tiebreaker. What do you say?
Yeah, I think he's. It's got to be Frank, because if you don't win the Triple Crown, if you tie, he won the Triple Crown, so it has to be.
And the reason I know that is because one of the great players of all time and one of the most humble guys, Stan Musial. It's up in Cooperstown, and I was talking. I said, how did you ever get 3,630 hits and 1,815 on the road and 1,815 at home? Imagine playing all those years.
That's ridiculous.
And Wigginton fouls it off. He said, well, Jimmy, I had some pretty good years. He said, as a matter of fact, one year I led the National League in hits, doubles, triples, home runs, stolen bases. Actually tied for home runs and RBIs. Would have led it in everything except he didn't win the Triple Crown because he tied for the home run lead. Stan the man.
He does not get enough credit.
No. Oh, boy.
But I say that about Hank Aaron. 3,700 hits, 2,300 RBI. I mean, everybody just thinks he was a home run guy. He's a Gold Glover out in right field. One of my favorite players of all time.
Wigginton fouls
like you
back.
said, a humble guy, very quiet.
Well, Dusty Baker told me, he said, I came up when Hank was still in Atlanta, and he said he saw everything. He taught me about all facets of the game, which is probably why Dusty was a good player and, still managing all over. He said, and that's what you want from your veteran players. And
chased an off-speed pitch outside, and Wigginton down on strikes. And that is strikeout number 2 for Detweiler, 1 away. The Orioles return home to Camden Yards on Monday. The Blue Jays will be in town. It's daytime baseball, so make your family's plans, part of them anyway, on Memorial Day to see baseball as the Jays are in town. First 10,000 fans 15 and over receive a military-style O's camo cap. Tickets start as low as $9. Get your tickets now, 888-848-BIRD, or online at Orioles.com. First pitch on Monday, 1:35. Here's Nolan Reimold. High pop out behind second base. Shortstop is calling. Guzman is there, and 2 down.
And what we're seeing is a young pitcher now. All of a sudden, he's got back into his rhythm. Reimold last night, home run on a fastball, but that one was well situated up and in. And this is how you get the experience, you get the confidence. Sometimes, again, to me, so what? You walk the bases loaded. You're young. You don't command your stuff as well as you'd like, but you stayed out of the big inning.
Well, and I like that he's got a real kind of slow and deliberate delivery, kind of like someone I'm sitting next to. And then all of a sudden the ball jumps out of his hand right as it's coming towards the plate. That's got to be tough on the hitters. Then he's got a great changeup. I've never seen so many kids come up and have amazing changeups like they do today. That's an equalizer.
Yep, that it is.
Greg Zahn batting with 2 outs and none on. Can't catch up to that pitch.
Well, it's moving away. And I got to think that if you're standing up at home plate and you have a guy that's 6'5" and he's turning his back towards you, deception is such an important part of pitching. It is very difficult to pick up the ball. So 90 probably looks more like 93, 95.
I did not know that either, because guys said that after, been retired for a long time and played against Marquise Grissom and Devon White and played with Pat Litz. They're like, well, you turned your back to the hitter. I didn't even know that bothered them. I would have done it more.
2-2 has popped up out behind second base. Guzman again will take charge, and the shortstop has it. And the O's go 3 up, 3 down. Middle of the 4th, 1-0 O's. for Koji Uehara, who does not come out to begin the fourth. So either he is injured, either he doesn't feel well, or he just ran out of gas on this warm and muggy night, because here's Brian Bass, who lately has been the Orioles' most effective reliever, and he takes over in a one-run game.
Well, Rob, the Orioles last year, when they had all the injuries, they went into the Minnesota, really made a trade with the Twins, and they pitched in 44 games, and this year he made a couple of adjustments, maybe stayed a little bit more closed, a little more direct to home plate. He's got a good curveball, he's got a pretty good breaking ball, good changeup in his fastball, 92 to 94 with some sink. So again, that little minor adjustment, and he really struggled early. Threw 4 home runs in relief against Tampa Bay in a game that Adam Eaton started the first weekend of the season. So he's made some nice adjustment. And I'll tell you what, you feel very comfortable in it. And they were even talking that if he needed a starter with Adam Eaton being released, this guy's got starter stuff.
And maybe take the viewers back to when you started, when I started. Most guys came up to the big leagues, went to the bullpen first. And you earned your stripes in the bullpen, then you worked in the rotation.
And he made a good point. I was talking the other day. I said, you really do have the equipment to be a starter. And he said, that's what I did in the minor leagues early on.
Well, he has certainly pitched well as of late. No runs, period, over his last 7 innings. And over his last 10 games, he's allowed only 2 runs in 20 innings. Well, we know Debbie Taylor is versatile. She has a lot to talk about with baseball players. Well, she's crossing over the line of football players with Debbie.
Oh, you got it, Jim. And I figured, why not talk a little baseball with Antoine Randall L. from the Redskins? You were actually drafted by the Cubs back in '97. Why football over baseball?
At that time, it really wasn't my choice. Mom and Dad knew I had a scholarship to go to Indiana to play football, and it wasn't really about the sport. It was about getting the education. So I ended up going there to play football.
And you were a center fielder, right?
I played center field. The Cubs wanted me to play shortstop or second base. I'd have went either way.
All right, now they're trying to brew a rivalry between the Orioles and the Nationals.
Right.
How about the Redskins and the Ravens? You were up in Baltimore last season. Is there a rivalry there?
Oh, it's always a rivalry, especially with Ray Lewis and them guys, especially Ed Reed. And you got to look at the two defenses are very, very similar. And we've always had a chance to play them in preseason, but playing them in the regular season last year. So it's starting to brew. I think we should keep it up, and certainly it'll be a big one.
Okay, thanks so much. Enjoy the game. Back up to you.
All right, Debbie, thanks very much. I was at that game at M&T Bank Stadium last year. A lot of excitement when the Redskins came into Baltimore. So here is Bass. Willie Harris will bat. He fouls it back. Koji Uehara left the game with left hamstring soreness,
which is what bothered him in spring training.
Yep.
He did not have a lot of starts in the spring. And again, maybe it was that move or that tentative move on the ball that Dunn hit off the bag.
Maybe he couldn't get to first base.
Well, Brian Bass goes right at Harris, and it's 0-2. And I had a nice chat with Brian yesterday about how his role may be expanding on this team. And in the history of the game, managers and pitching coaches have never changed. If they have a guy, as this one has bounced to first, Wigginton will go to the bag unassisted. A guy in the bullpen who continues to come in and get outs. All of a sudden, let's expand this guy's role a bit. And Brian Bass right now is falling into that.
Well, and especially when you look at where the staffs. I mean, that's why you have 4 rookies on the Nationals in your starting rotation. I mean, the Orioles starters are 14th. Uehara is probably the most consistent. Jeremy Guthrie, from time to time throws the ball great. They're 11th in earned runs as far as pitching in the bullpen. So again, I mean, this is the land of opportunity, not only the United States, but both of these teams, if you're a young pitcher or even a middle-aged pitcher.
Well, and the other part of this, in this role, he basically can concentrate on once through the lineup. If he does that, he gets his 3 innings in, so he can attack. He could use 2 pitches instead of worrying about the second and third time, and just go right at these hitters and try to mow them down.
Well, and that's a great point. In the National League, his at bat or where he is in the lineup is going to come up. And so he's got to go as long and as strong as he can go. And the way Danny Baez last night hit the ball, maybe they'll leave him in the game and let him hit for himself, the way that turned the game around. But seriously, like you said, Jim, try to go through the lineup once. You're only going to have to face each guy once. And if he's doing well and it's still a tight game, they may leave him in here. And he might go through the lineup twice. But as a short or middle reliever, if you do the job, you get more work. The more work you get, the more confidence they have in you. And that's how you get a starter's job or you get a closer's job. It's not, any mystery out there.
Orioles bullpen. 2-2 the count. And a little bit low to Josh Bard, ball 3. Well, Brian Bass's spot will come up second when the Orioles bat in the 5th. So immediately Dave Tremblay will have to make a decision, and likely this early in the game he will bat for himself.
Yeah, especially when your bullpen went 6 in the 3rd innings last night.
3-2 pitch is bounced towards first. That's a fair ball. Wigginton has it and turns and goes to Bass for the out. Nicely done. And what defense tonight. Here Wigginton playing first base to give Aubrey Huff a night off, and he has played outstanding at first base tonight. 2 down.
Oh, he can play all over. I mean, he played left field last year in Houston the last couple of months. He played up second base, third base. Right here, another potential double snagged.
I've liked him since he came up to the big leagues. Very versatile. He works his way into the lineup. He hit 23 home runs last year. I thought he was a great pickup by the Orioles because you can put him at third base. You can put him in the outfield. He doesn't care. He just wants to break into the lineup. And when he does, he hits. So it's an added bonus for you. But if he can play some defense like that, that's great.
Sharply hit the short as Torres, the Gold Glover, has it across. And Brian Bass continues to mow him down. 3 up, 3 down. We'll head to the 5th in a 1-0 game. Experienced guy is in his 2nd year, and there is a track record for bringing talented pitchers to the big league and letting them learn against the best hitters.
And I think really that's the philosophy. I ran into Stan Kasten a couple of times yesterday, and of course he's pretty much running this ball club, and he was down in Atlanta when they traded for Maddox, when they traded for Smoltz, and they had Glavine. And so again, I mean, those are the first years. I mean, Maddox is what, 6-14, 2-7, 7-17. Maddox won 18 when he went to Atlanta the next year. Of course, Billy Connors taught him to change up. Smoltz went to the sports psychologist, and Glavine could throw knee-high fastballs and change-ups all day long, which is why Maddox and Glavine have won 300 games or more.
Yeah, Maddox has over 350. Glavine's got over 300. Smoltz has 150 plus saves and over, I think, 200 wins. But the toughest of the three, and we had to face all three of them for many, many years. I played against them from 88 to 96, was Glavine and that changeup. And like I say, the changeup is one of the most devastating pitches. If you could throw it, sell it with the arm speed of a fastball, you're going to do an awful lot in this game. And Maddox, actually, I came up with him in the minor leagues. He was a power pitcher. He was a small guy that threw in the mid-90s, tried to throw it by everybody. When he got up there with Rick Sutcliffe with the Cubs, that's when he started working in that two-seamer, coming back in from the back door on righties from the left-handed batter's box. I mean, he learned how to pitch when he was with Rick Sutcliffe over there in Chicago.
Well, the Orioles are building an organization on young pitching. Most of it is still in the minor leagues, as Andy McPhail does not want to bring them up too soon. Bergeson is the first to arrive, and he really has held his own, even though he is 1-2. And I thought he really learned a lot pitching in Yankee Stadium the other night. He had a rough first inning, then settled down, and then maybe was a little bit fatigued at the end. Somebody's going to have to come up and make the start on Tuesday for Adam Eaton, and everyone is wondering, is it going to be a Chris Waters, who's a journeyman at AAA, as Astura sits at the center field? And there's Maxwell for the out. Or is it going to be one of the young guns that may come in? And, you know, the way you're talking.
Who throws the most strikes?
Well,
that's the guy I think they'd probably want up here.
David Hernandez threw very well last night, 14 strikeouts, but the problem is that's one day too late
right.
to pitch on Tuesday. So I don't think Hernandez, but the Orioles have a decision to make. And Dave Tremblay told us yesterday that whoever that is not yet on the club. So that person is coming up from the minor leagues. But I would be just listening to you guys in favor. You know what? Bring up one of those young guns. Let's see what he could do.
Well, but Rob made a good point, and Dave Tremblay, the Oriole manager, amplified it by saying, bring somebody up that can throw strikes. And we have brought guys up the last couple of years that are incapable of doing that. Now, that's the difference. I mean, the one thing about the Nationals, they've gone out is Bass is going to go down on strikes. There's that big curveball you talked about. They brought up kids that can throw strikes.
Yeah.
Now, will they do it every night? Maybe not. But
no.
I'll tell you what, they have good arms. They have fairly decent command, and hopefully they'll get better.
This is a great 0-2 backdoor slider right there, backdoor curveball we talked about. He's throwing the curveball, and he's really got them off balance. But Jordan Zimmerman maybe throws too many strikes. We've talked about he needs to change the eye level a little bit. Martis has a great changeup, throws a lot of strikes. Detweiler throws a lot of strikes. And Stammen, who came in the other day, threw nothing but strikes. So a little trouble in the Oriole dugout right now.
Yeah, they are not very happy. They were not happy last night with the strike zone of Bill Welke. And they appear to be less happy with the strike zone of Tim Welke, the older brother and the crew chief of this crew. One of the Orioles coaches told me before the game that several of the hitters were coming back to the bench complaining that they were in a hole on pitches they believe were balls and they were called strikes. And as a result, you change your at-bat.
Well, we should probably put a T out there for the hitters then. You know, their pitching staff has an ERA
Wait, I
in the
forgot my
mid-fives.
audience.
No, I'm being serious, though. I mean, the ERAs, there's only 3 teams in the major leagues where their whole staff is in the 3s. Everybody else is in the 4s and the 5s. I mean, to me, it's a hitter's game right now, so they can't be complaining.
Ryan Roberts works the count to 3-1.
Hey, I play softball in a league where the count's 1-1 when you walk up to the plate. So
after watching the at-bat for Ryan Zimmerman, I would agree with exactly what you said because it looked like Uehara had him struck out.
It's tough right now. I mean, either way, it's fun for the fans, and I'm glad because it is a recession and money's hard to come by. But, you know, some of these pitchers need to feed their families too, and it's hard when you're not getting the inner half or the outer half of the plate, and you got to throw it down Broadway. A lot of guys are going to hurt you.
Roberts works it to 3-2. High fly ball to center field. Maxwell there. And Detweiler is about to have his 4th 3-up, 3-down inning. Mid-5th, Battle of the Beltways, 1-0 Orioles. Teddy finally win. I want to see Teddy win a race. Oh, no! Oriole Bird, what are you doing? Teddy had the lead. Here's Abe Lincoln. Here's George. Here's Thomas Jefferson. Oh, and here's Brian Bass.
If Teddy's got to go down like that, I like your Bird. I like that guy. He plays tough.
Oh, that's just not right. The Oriole bird, Teddy, was way out in front. Now, I'm wondering if George Washington or Abe Lincoln paid the bird off a little bit.
They may have.
Because he was kind of laying in the weeds.
Not won a race.
I don't think he's ever won ever.
He beat the Oriole last year.
Yes, he did. He did beat the Oriole bird. Oh, wait a minute. Now we know why. The Oriole bird getting revenge.
Right. Revenge. But where's Screech to protect the presidents? I don't know.
Detweiler leading off against Brian Bass on for his second inning. Orioles with a 1-0 lead. There's a tapper out towards the mound. Bass in on it, and the toss to first. At one down, Bass has retired all 4 batters. On Monday, Orioles reach AT&T, and Cell Phones for Soldiers invite you to bring your no longer used cell phones to Oriole Park. The phones donated at the Orioles game against the Blue Jays on Memorial Day will be recycled to purchase prepaid phone cards for our troops overseas. So bring your phones on Monday to Oriole Park and help support our troops. One down in the Washington 5th.
Yeah, if you want to beat the Nationals, keep this guy off base. Now 0 for 7 in this series. Came in leading the National League in hitting last night.
High fly ball to right, chases Markakis. That ball is deep, and that ball is gone into the Nationals bullpen, and we are tied at 1. Only the second home run on the year for Christian Guzman.
Well, he doesn't walk, doesn't take pitches, and he hits home runs.
He doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but when he turns on one, he's got a little giddy up in his bat. He's got a really quick swing, loves to go the other way. He's a great leadoff guy. Right here, Bass is going to make a mistake on the inner half. Northrop Grumman shows you. Hanging changeup, 80 miles an hour. Look at that quick swing. Boom.
Yeah, that's one of those. What pitch can I throw him to speed up his bat? Do I want to give him a single to left? Or
what did I tell you about little guys? I don't like to throw off speed to little hitters because they'll kill you. They'll hit you the fastball the other way. But you speed up your bat like that. He was running down the first baseline when he hit that home run.
That is the 6th home run allowed by Bass on the year. And a 1-1 game. Nick Johnson pops it up. There's Torres out, Jones in. They can't find the ball, and it falls in. In the twilight up above, as Torres was waiting for Jones to call him off, when he looked back at Jones, it looked like he lost the ball. I don't think Adam Jones ever saw it. That ball was a mile high in this twilight.
Well, the way it's supposed to work is that the infielder goes back till he's called off, and that didn't apparently happen. Because if Jones doesn't see it, he doesn't see it right here. Torres takes one look, and then Jones sees it, and now it's going to be a collision course.
Well, Jim took the words right out of my mouth. The infielder has to keep coming hard until Adam Jones calls him off. And then once he calls him off, he veers off in a different pattern. But Adam Jones, like you said, it looked like he never saw it. And it sure is he basically stopped. And he can't do that. He's got to keep coming.
And it is difficult to give a good hitting team, as Jim, you said, 3rd best offensive team in the National League, an extra out in the middle of their lineup.
And give Nick Johnson credit there, guys, for not assuming that ball was going to be caught. It was a tweener. He hustled, and as a result, he's in scoring position with 1 down. Well, Zimmerman at the plate. He's already been on base twice, so his streak now is 41 consecutive games getting on base. Slider misses outside. The lights have taken the full effect on the field, and we are so high here, it's easy to see the sky, but the twilight is obviously a problem with balls hit straight up. And that ball, that was hit above our level here. That's how high it was hit. And I'm not convinced Adam Jones ever saw it. This ball's hit deep to right field, slicing towards the grandstand. Markakis is over, runs out of room.
Yeah, it seems that if you get the ball in the corner, that sometimes you'll foul it, but you move it over about 3-4 inches. That's the ball he hit in the right center field bleachers last night.
There's a shot of the night sky. It is not black right now. It is a twilight behind us. It's like a off pink. So it is very light up in the sky, and I'm sure it probably gave them a little bit of trouble. There's a few clouds out there. There you go. It's still light here. But also Adam Jones, he's young. He'll learn. You got to put your arms up. You got to put your arms up. I don't have it. Sometimes it's a decoy, but other times it's helping the infielders know, okay, he does not have that ball, so you have to make an effort for it.
Zimmerman doesn't chase on that slider, so 2-2 the count. 17 of his RBIs in these situations with a runner in scoring position.
Hey, he was talking today at the cage when he hurt that left shoulder, the labrum tear, which he rehabbed and missed some time last year. He said he was pulling off everything. That would probably be a pitch he chased last year. Pretty good breaking ball just under the strike zone.
2-2, he got him. Perfect location, guys.
Well, that's that movement I talked about. When he gets on top, it sinks. The last inning, he threw a couple flat sinkers and got away with it.
Well, this is a two-seam fastball, and as Jim said, it's a sinker. It's going to run down and in on righties, and when it does run, it's devastating. You see he's about 2 feet away from touching that ball. Kevin Brown threw a hard, heavy sinker, and he turned his back to the hitter.
He barehanded line drives with his pitching hand up the middle. That's a real bad habit to do.
He was a tough guy, though. I liked playing with him.
He'd
throw a one-hitter, strike out 17, and tear the clubhouse up. I was like, I like him.
Yeah.
We're all perfectionists.
Yes.
You got to see my former teammate, Paul O'Neill, who played with the Yankees, won 4 championships. Most unhappy 325 hitter you'll ever see. BJ Surhoff was here. I played with BJ. He was another guy. He'd hit 300. Always have a scowl on his face. I like those guys. Always have an axe to grind. No, went 3 for 4. I can't believe he got me out that last time.
Inside misses 2-1. BJ Surhoff, of all the players I've been around since coming to the Orioles in '97, he would be at the top of my list to be a manager. I think he would be outstanding because he really knows the game. He knows people. He knows how to deal with people. He's a real good guy, but you play the game the way you're supposed to play the game.
Oh, and he played it hard. And I tell people this, and I played with some wonderful catchers, and Joe Oliver, Jeff Reed, Ron Karkovice, the late Bo Diaz. But BJ Surhoff, I love throwing to him the most because he maybe wasn't the best gifted catcher back there, but he expected the most out of you. And most of the managers now in the major leagues are former catchers anyway. So he would fit into that pattern. I think it was the first pick in the draft.
Number 1 overall pick in '85.
Yep.
And he grew up in the same area as Walt Weiss. And Brian Roberts' father was the coach at the University of North Carolina, recruited both Walt Weiss and BJ Surhoff. And it was Brian's dad who convinced BJ, you know what, left-handed hitting catcher, you might have a chance here. 4 years later, he's the number 1 overall pick. Weiss went number 22, so a little different in the bonus there. But how about that in 4 years?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to play for BJ because he'd really make you be accountable. I mean,
I love that word, accountability.
Yeah, the inmates would not be running his asylum. And you really, do you want to pitch to Dunn here? Or do you want to take your chances with Kearns on deck in a 1-1 ball game? I think that's a decision you have to make.
Can you tell that Earl Weaver story? Maybe change the name to protect the innocent on telling somebody that this is the way you better play the game or you're going home.
Well, that's what you do on winning in ball clubs, and accountability.
But I like that the manager tells you, listen, you do it this way or you go home.
So Brian Bass picks up his teammates as that ball by Johnson fell in, but he's left stranded. Guzman ties it on the home run, a 1-1 game. 1 run on 1 hit. Next, 1 run on 5 hits. And we're going to get the answer to the Aflac trivia question to see if the Hall of Famer is 2 for 2. Who is the only Oriole to lead the American League outright in home runs? Frank Robinson? Frank Robinson in 1966. Way to go, Mr. Palmer.
That was a good trade for the Orioles, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Milt Pappas and Dick
Well,
Simpson
come on.
for Frank.
He was done. That's why they traded him.
An old 30. I like to be an old 30.
I used to be. Here's Adam Jones outside, and before you knew it, 20 more years snuck up. Jones, Markakis, Mora against Detweiler. Swing and a miss. There's that off-speed pitch.
Well, again, once you establish your fastball, and he did that with the bases loaded. I mean, we're talking about the Orioles' best hitter with runners in scoring position, Adam Jones, 448. And he just blew the ball by him. And then all of a sudden, you got to quicken the bat a little bit, and the changeups, even if it's not a good one, is effective. So again, last night, how did the Orioles win? Jones hit a double down the line right here, bases loaded on 3 walks. Try to hit my best fastball, couldn't do it.
Yeah, cheese at the knees though. That's tough for any hitter. I don't care how good you are. That's a beautiful placement right there.
That kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Cheese.
I'm trying.
That's pretty good.
New for me.
I like that. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung out and missed. So Adam Jones, who is trying to extend the hitting streak to 10 straight, is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts.
Well, and Detweiler's doing something, Jim, tonight that I've talked about a lot for the last few weeks is not showing all your pitches in the first trip through the batting order. And actually, he didn't show the curveball. And now he's setting up that high 94-mile-an-hour fastball with the curveball. Take something off of it, get ahead, and then speed it back up with the fastball.
Whew. I understand that talent is talent, and here's a guy who pitched 19 years old in the big leagues, but to think that last year he's at Potomac and he's facing the Frederick Keys and the team in Wilmington, Delaware, and now just a year later, and not even a full year later, early on in the season, he's in the major leagues with this kind of command. There's a ground ball to second. Willie Harris to first will get Markakis 2 men down.
Well, I think the most important thing is, again, you're evaluators. Not your pitching coaches that want a guy going from A balls to the big leagues or AA or AAA. You need to, if you're a general manager, you need to have guys that can tell you. We're looking at Randy St. Clair, the pitching coach here in Washington. They can tell you this guy can pitch in the big leagues because of this, and this. He's got good stuff. He can command it. He's not afraid of contact. He's got some whatever which you need to pitch.
Moxie.
Yeah, moxie, whatever we want to throw in there. And, and again, if you send the wrong guys to the big leagues, they're not going to succeed. And to me, if we're going to make a change in Baltimore, because of the release of Adam Eaton, bring up a guy that fits the criteria to pitch in the big leagues. And then you got to figure it out. Doesn't mean it's going to be automatic. I got the opportunity early on, not a baseball.
I had an interesting talk with Brad Bergeson before the game tonight about his start in New York, and I was saying, it's real interesting being up here as we are to watch these guys come up for the first time, because the big league hitters take that pitch that's just an inch outside. Their batting eyes are so good, they're so comfortable. The minor league hitters chase those pitches and they get them out.
Absolutely.
So now Bergeson has to figure out, and in that game the other night against the Yankees, A-Rod hits the 2-run home run in the first. He was 0-2 after 2 pitches. So what do? You throw the slider. It's too far outside. A-Rod doesn't even sniff. Fouls off a couple of real good pitches. Now it's 3-2, and he has a fastball, not necessarily a bad pitch, bad location, home run. That's what they have to learn. It's all about what do you do when, and how do you set them up.
And how do you do that? You get the opportunity.
Yeah,
experience
and repetition, and when you do fail, you just don't get too down on yourselves. You give them credit where credit is due. They're getting paid a lot of money to do what they're doing, so you can't get down on yourself when you actually make a good pitch and the guy hits it 450 feet. I mean, you can't say I'm never going to throw that pitch again because the guy hit it.
And it'd be interesting to me to see what happens right here. Good fastball hitter, fastball count. He's used his changeup. I got to think he's going to throw something other than a fastball. Yep, threw him a changeup, and that's pitching.
Well, that was 5 in a row out of the strike zone following the walk to Moore, and now 1-1 on Wigginton.
But all you need to do is get Wigginton out if you're Ross Detweiler, and you're out of the inning. You pitched more innings you've ever pitched in the big leagues. You've given your team a chance to win. Probably be your last. Pitch count was 84 coming into this inning. What is it now?
It's 96. He's done enough.
Yep.
He's had another great outing. Right.
Finish off Wigginton. Yeah, Josh Barton knows what his strength is. He's a high ball hitter out over the plate. Make your pitches and go into the dugout.
Popped up near the dugout. Bard and Johnson. Bard takes charge and has it for the out. So the 2-out walk doesn't hurt. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th. Great game in the nation's capital, 1-1.
Bad news today for Lou Montanez. That thumb that he's been nursing, which he injured May 2nd back in Toronto, diving for a ball. He thought it was just sprained. Well, today they learned it's much worse than that. He went to see a hand specialist up in Baltimore. An MRI revealed that he does have 2 torn ligaments in his thumb. He has opted to have surgery. That will happen next week. He is expected to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, but he is available tonight to pinch hit. We're told that the injury will not get any worse if he does play, but he'll be out. It does create, however, a roster spot once he goes on the DL for Luke Scott to come off the DL. Jim?
All right, Amber, thank you very much. Big hop to Melvin Moore. He collects the ball and gets Kearns and 1 down. And it is kind of a strange injury when you think about it. He will need surgery, but yet right now he can play because there's nothing more he could do to make it worse. So he's still active. He can pinch run. He can go up and hit. It might hurt a little bit, but he's still available. And talked to him before the game in the clubhouse, and he said, you know, I guess it was my time. This is the first time in all of my years in pro ball, most of it in the minors, that I've ever been hurt.
And it's a shame. Once you do tear tendons or ligaments and they come off the bone, they have to be reattached, probably get screws in there. And he may be done for the season, but you want to get that thing healed and right. You know, and obviously they've seen enough to where they know this guy can play every day.
And there's a base hit into right field off the bat of Willie Harris, former Orioles draft choice.
See, that's what he should have been doing his first time up instead of sacrificing. And again, I don't. Again, if you try to bunt as Willie did after the leadoff walk by, or actually base hit by Austin Kearns back in the 2nd, that tells me you think you're going to win 1-0. Now, I just don't think with these pitching staffs, that's pretty good thinking and early in on the ballgame.
But these pitching staffs have responded, and we've had two great pitched games in the last 2 nights.
The Orioles have the highest ERA in the American League at 5.61. The Nats the highest in the National League at 5.70.
And just throw those ERAs right out the window,
right.
Jim.
Well, apparently, and I know, man, that tells me right there the maniac that didn't give him the bunt back in the 2nd did it on his own. As Bob Carpenter said, you'll see if he'll steal here.
Low and away to the hitter Josh Bard at 1-0.
Well, you see him all the time. They've only attempted 27 steals, been successful 16 times.
Yeah, we don't try to steal a lot of bases. Elijah Dukes, who's injured with the torn hamstring, has yet to really master getting a good jump off pitchers. He's gotten caught off base a few times.
Harris doesn't go. Bounce towards second base. Roberts to Astoris 1. Back to first. There's a double play. That clears the bases. And out of the inning goes Brian Bass. So the double play helps him out. We'll head to the 7th in a pitcher's duel, a 1-1 game. Back here at Nationals Park on a beautiful night for baseball and a very well played game 1-1. Let's get a look at the game summary as the Orioles and the Nats. And Rob, look at the hits column. What's going on here?
Well, you know, in his second major league start, Ross Detweiler has been just amazing. Again, great control. Got out of a jam in the third inning. Only allowed one run to score when he had the bases loaded. Christian Guzman starting to hit the ball again after he had gone 0 for 7. Hit a nice home run to get the Nats on the board. And Uehara kind of ran out of gas, hurt his hamstring. He's out of the ball game. And now Detweiler's out of the ball game after 6 innings. So that's the game summary. It's actually the last 2 days, though, Jim and Jim. 2 of the better pitched ball games I've seen all year by these 2 teams.
William Tavares, the veteran, comes on. He'll face Raimel Zahn and Asturias.
Yeah, and again, we talked about how the Nationals, you talk about it all the time, their bullpen has really struggled last out of 16 teams in the National League. Tavares has kind of led the charge. He's really been hit hard. I watched him the other night. Wasn't that bad the other night, actually.
Well, the one thing that I have said, though, he needs to work a lot. Almost every day, every other day, get that sinker going, have a tired arm. Maybe you can explain that. Sinker ballers, going back to like Bob Stanley, they need to get a lot of work to get that ball to sink sometimes, and he's come in with a live arm and the ball's up in the zone, he gets hit.
Yeah, and I think what happens, he flies open, he gets around the ball, and especially on his slider the other night, I was talking to him, I said, but you're a tall guy. Make sure that front shoulder stays and you can stay behind that sinker, and then it's a lot easier to pull the slider down when you do that.
Raimel towards third, charging is Zimmerman, throws on the run to get the hustling Raimel and 1 down. Well, Tavares has been around so long. Let's go back and look at his first major league strikeout. Do you recognize the hitter, a young Cleveland Indian back then?
Cal Ripken Jr.
The Hall of Famer. That was the first strikeout for Julian Tavares in his career way back when.
So even Hall of Famers can't hit cheese at the knees and slipping slider down one.
Well, I'll tell you, that big roundhouse curveball is hard to hit from anybody.
Now, after the Battle of the Beltways, when we head back up the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, are we allowed to use that phrase?
You could use whatever you want.
And Zahn is a base hit. That one's heading towards the corner, being chased down by Austin Kearns. Zahn heading into second base. Where is Kearns? He disappeared, but he gets it back in. So there's a 1-out double for Zahn, who's been scuffling a bit at the plate, but he's at second base now. He started the rally in the third with a walk, and now his 8th double of the season. He's at second with 1 down.
That's funny. I talked to Greg before the game, and he was upset about some of the balls, even the one he hit to the wall last night. And there he pulls a pitch that's too much of the zone down the line for a double. Austin Kearns corrals it in. I was leaving the game, Jim, back with the Marlins when I was injured in '96, and he was with the Marlins, and I knew this kid would stay around for a while. May not have been the greatest hitter, but he calls a great game, and boy, is he a fiery guy and great for any team that he's in your clubhouse.
And in fairness to Greg Zahn, of the hitters who have struggled at the plate, he has been the hard luck hitter of the year. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this guy's hit more line drives at fielders this season than I think anybody else in baseball.
Well, 250 hitter, and you know, he was hit 118. I told him, I said, I know you're going to hit higher than that. And he just kind of laughs because he does it. He knows it too. And how's he going to do it? He's just going to keep working and working. He loves to play the game, and
yes.
You know, he's had all kinds of injuries. You know, when we talk about Greg, he had the elbow chips taken out. So again, you know, he picks on a hanging changeup, and in a 1-1 ball game, that could be a huge hit.
Did you ever get hurt? Did you ever hurt your arm? All those innings you threw?
Yeah, I mean, I hurt my rotator cuff when I missed about 1.5 years. And that was early on, and then, you know, sorted elbow problems over the years. Nothing, no surgeries, no Tommy John.
1-1 to Asturias is outside.
Back then, though, how did you rehab that injury?
Well, my rotator cuff, I just no surgery, just kind of did an exercise program.
Matt Albers getting up.
Yep. And then you know, the elbow, you just figure out. You know, one year I was in the All-Star game. I was talking to Mike Marshall, and you know, professor of kinesiology. You know, try to do preventive type of exercises versus corrective.
Asturias toward shortstop. Zahn running to third. The play's there, and he is out. And that's a base running mistake by Greg Zahn. He obviously thought that ball was going to get through, and he ran into it out at third, 2 down.
Yeah, pretty bad combination if you're Greg Zahn. You have a very, very good defensive shortstop that knows it's going to be a tough play because Asturias can run. He gets out of the box. Your only play is at third, but then again, you're taught as a base runner, the ball to your right, you don't go. Ball to your left, you do. Zahn, high intensity guy, and once again, you don't get thrown out if you don't execute, and the Nationals do a great job of it.
Well, let's compare delivery, shall we, on our Battle of the Beltways on Masson. Let's see Mr. Dibble and Mr. Palmer in the lovely orange uniforms. I think Mr. Dibble followed the Palmer leg kick.
But he
had a little bit of a more angry face.
I don't know. Where you were grunter, I was a big grunter. I had to do everything I could to get the ball there.
Ron Vallone's going to come on. Aubrey Huff was announced as a pinch hitter, so runner on and 2 down, 1-1 game in the 7th. Game 1-1, and a new pitcher comes on for the Nats. The veteran Ron Vallone to face Aubrey Huff with a runner now at first and 2 down. Aubrey was given a night off tonight, but up there as a pinch hitter.
He's probably pretty happy he didn't have to face Detweiler throwing 94 left-handed.
Vallone has done a nice job. He
Yes.
got called up on the 7th of May in 10 games, hasn't given up a run. And the Orioles saw him last night, inning, 1 hit, no walks, no strikeouts. Boy, has he been around a long time.
Asturias is the runner at first with 2 men down. Huff swings through it, 1-1 the count.
I think I've known Ron Vallone since '94 when I was hurt. I went down to Puerto Rico to try to get a job, and we were on strike. I was a free agent. I had blown out my rotator cuff and my labrum, and I'm down in Puerto Rico. I meet this young man. He's from New Jersey, great kid. We ran on the beach every day. I mean, he got me in the best shape of my life, and he's still pitching. I mean, I think that's just a credit to this kid and what he's done.
Aubrey Huff to deep left center field. Maxwell a run. It is off the wall. It stays in the ballpark. Asturias rounding third. He comes to the plate. Huff is trying for a triple, and he is in with a pinch hit. RBI triple, and the Orioles get the lead back. He missed a home run by a matter of inches in deep left center field.
Yeah, it almost looked like it was so far out there. It looked like it hit off the cushion and then came back off the other cushion. But you can't hit it any farther and have it keep it in the ballpark.
Well, that's a fastball away to one of the best fastball hitters in the major leagues, as you said last night, and it just got too much of the plate, and Justin Maxwell cannot get over there in time to jump up and catch that ball. But it does miraculously stay in the park.
What, about a half an inch?
Hit high up on that fence in front of the Orioles bullpen. So how about that? Aubrey Huff 1 for 18 over his last 4 games, comes off the bench and gives the Orioles the lead. Here's Brian Roberts, and it's inside 1-0. Jason Bergman now getting loose in the Nats pen. Add-on run at third base if Roberts can get a hit, and it's down and in again, 2-0. So Brian Bass, again the pitcher of record,
did a great job.
1 run in 3 innings. Malone trying to get out of this inning with just the 1 run. Hard hit ball to third. Zimmerman gobbles it up, inspects the baseball, and then throws across. And he has the out. So the Orioles get the lead on the RBI triple by Aubrey Huff. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. We'll all take a stretch, and the Orioles have a 2-1 lead. AT&T Rapid Rewind.
Well, at 6.5 innings, not a lot of offense, and this is one of the reasons why. Justin Maxwell right here robs Adam Jones of a home run. What a terrific play right here. First inning off of Uehara. And then Wigington also back-to-back great plays into first. So a lot of leather flashed here at Nationals Park.
AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered.
And guess who?
Hey, look at that. Play. Dueling fans in the Battle of the Beltways. Well, the Nationals guy, I think, is winning the battle.
And they spelled the name right.
And the Oriole fan should say, hey, look at the scoreboard. Here's Matt Albert's guys on in relief. Third pitcher used by the Birds.
Yeah, came in last night, inning in the third, actually sunk the ball, something he didn't do. He said he's kind of worked to kind of quiet everything down. Coming off a labrum tear last year, as Maxwell will try to bunt his way on.
Maxwell, a pinch hitter for the pitcher, and then Guzman in the 7th. Justin Maxwell out of Bethesda, Maryland, born there. 4th round pick in 2005. He was featured tonight on Nats Extra, the pregame show prior to the Nationals games with Johnny Holiday and Ray Knight. And Debbie Taylor asked him, well, you're born and raised in Maryland, were you an Oriole fan? He said no. He said he just liked baseball, really didn't follow a team. He said his dad would take him to Camden Yards and he enjoyed watching Cal Ripken play, but no allegiance at all to the Orioles, even though he grew up in Bethesda, or in the Bethesda area.
Well, he was probably such a good athlete. He probably played every sport. He really probably didn't have time to sit around and just be an Orioles fan or a Yankees fan or any other fan. He was probably just worrying about Justin Maxwell. Can you imagine this kid coming back as this kid? 6'5", speed, power. I'm still surprised that the Mariners gave up Adam Jones. That blows my mind. I've never been big on offense for pitching. Guys like Adam Jones don't grow on trees.
Breaking ball bounces in there. Well, the amazing thing about that trade is it also came the same offseason as the Tejada trade. So Anthony McPhail took 2 veterans from a losing team and turned those 2 players into 10 players, one of which is Adam Jones, and one is Chris Tillman, who's one of the best pitchers in AAA.
And one's your closer.
Right, and Walt George Sherrill.
Yeah, 31 saves last year. Having been a setup man up in Seattle.
Exactly, was J.J. Putz's setup guy.
Yep. There's a strikeout. Maxwell thought it was outside, so Albers gets his first man one away. Well, fans, we encourage you to vote for Adam Jones. Speaking of him, Nick Markakis and the rest of your favorite Orioles for the 2009 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Just get online, Orioles.com. Don't miss your chance to vote orange and save green by voting for your birds the maximum 25 times. You'll receive a free upper reserve seat for any non-prime O's game after the All-Star break. Vote early, vote often. For all the details, get online, Orioles.com/vote orange.
Yeah, nice crowd tonight. Seems like it's a lot larger than last night. 31,000, 33. That's a nice round number.
Josh Willingham pinch hitting for the pitcher.
I like how you think you rounded up. I like that. 33 grand. A lot of Oriole fans here, though.
Which is good to see.
Yep.
Well, the two ballparks are, 35 miles apart from each other, from parking lot to parking lot. Get towards third. Mora plays from deep behind the bag and gets it across and 2 down.
Yeah, you could see them somewhat guarding the line. I never was really a proponent of that. But again, you take the potential double away.
This copyrighted telecast, presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles. The Battle of the Beltways on Masson. And Jim and I are thrilled to be down here with Bob Carpenter and Rob Dibble as our Masson families come together for these interleague games.
We're thrilled to have you guys.
It's a lot
here.
of fun. I really enjoy this. You get a different perspective from your standpoint and get to talk baseball and hear a couple of pitchers duel it out here.
And then you're going to be coming up to our neighborhood later on in the summer.
We'll have some crab cakes waiting for you.
Very nice. Very nice.
High fly ball to center field off the bat of Guzman. Jones ranging back. He has it for the out. And it's 3 up, 3 down. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow. Bob Carpenter returns. We'll head to the 8th and a good one. Hey, how you doing? 2-1 game.
Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. And by Firestone, a tradition of innovation. Welcome back to Nationals Park. The dueling fans, the dueling ball clubs. The Orioles have the upper hand right now. Your ball club is pitching as well as I've seen them in any 20 or so inning stretch this year.
Yeah, they're pitching better than they have been pitching. And, again, they've gotten some breaks tonight. A lot of balls hit hard. Willie Harris doesn't cover second base. Otherwise, Detweiler doesn't give up a hit. It cost him a run, and Orioles have taken advantage of it.
And what do the Nationals do with Adam Dunn slumping and not a whole lot behind him in the lineup right now?
Well, we really really miss Elijah Dukes behind him. He was hitting much better when Elijah was in the lineup. Now the injury to Hernandez's finger, he's out of the lineup right now. So the guys at the bottom of the order, you know, Willingham and below Willingham, they need to start picking it up a little bit because it's putting too much pressure on the guys above them. We're not getting the same run production we were getting for the last 2 weeks. So right now, you need to be a little bit more patient, I guess, with the guys at the bottom of the order. Try to put some more balls in play. But I really like the pitching that we've had the last couple of nights, Bob. So that's actually a good sign that maybe the pitching is starting to turn around for the Nationals.
Jason Bergman was pretty pleased with his results last night. Got a double play ball. Relievers haven't done much of that lately. And he just retired Adam Jones on a fly ball out to right field. So the 8th inning is underway. Adam Jones 0 for 4 tonight. And there's a lot of hitters in this series taking what we would call unexpected offers. Next up is Markakis, 1 for 3 with an infield hit. Interesting scenario for the Nationals. Had Willie Harris covered second base on that play, it's possible Ross Detweiler would have had a no-hitter going through his 6 innings of work.
Yeah, the pitch count would have gotten him anyway, but he wouldn't have, after walking the bases loaded, he would have gotten out of that inning without giving up a run.
Well, in all fairness to Willie Harris, he doesn't play second base on a regular basis. He's all over the place, in the outfield a lot, center field. So I don't know what was going on that play, but I don't even know if they could have gotten the guy at second base. I think it was Brian Roberts with 2 outs running hard.
And there's Willie Harris as if on cue, 2 outs.
I wanted to ask Jim this, though, because he played with such great defenses over the years. Paul Blair in there, Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, you know, Mark Belanger, guys like that. Did it make your job easier, I guess, confidence-wise, knowing that if you made a mistake or maybe if you threw different pitches and tried different things, it was going to be caught?
Oh, yeah. Again, we talk so much about pitching to contact, and part of it is to trust your defense. But I think what we're seeing in this series, we were seeing good stuff, and the guys are making better pitches. I mean,
working
really
ahead in the count.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, this looks to me a pretty fair pitcher's ballpark. Camden Yards seems to be more intimate. You know, we have a hotel that's gone up in left center field, so the ball maybe carries a little bit better over the last 2 years there than it did maybe 3 years ago.
The deepest part of your park. Yeah, I think that's the assessment that we started hearing about halfway through last season, Jim. This ballpark is fair. The middle of that scoreboard out there is 375 in right. It's a little deeper in left. A little quirk in that little Bermuda Triangle out there where that ball barely stayed in, that Aubrey Huff hit. But pitchers and hitters will tell you it's a fair park. No cheapies here. That ball's well hit. Chases Kearns back, and a very quick top of the 8th for Jason Bergman. Good hitters due up. The hot Johnson, the hot Zimmerman, the cold Dunn. Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. By PNC Bank, PNC leading the way. And by Acura, Acura Advance. Monuments all lit up on a beautiful Saturday evening here in late May. Yeah, it's 1 week away from June. How about that? And it's 2-1 Orioles as we go bottom 8. Johnson, Zimmerman, and Dunn. Nats and O's again tomorrow. Get here early. The first 10,000 kids 12 and under. A free kids Zimmerman jersey. That's the number 11 Ryan Zimmerman, presented by ExxonMobil. You can still call 888-632-NATS. Visit nationals.com or stop by the box office and get your tickets tonight. Jim Johnson threw the ball very well last night. Came into the 8th, pitched 2 scoreless innings. He gave up Washington's only hit that they had after Zimmerman's 4th inning home run last night.
Yeah, the one thing he does,
19 innings of this series, Jim, your pitching has held the Nationals to 3 runs on 10 hits.
Yeah, I think both of the games, though, and they could have gone either way. And this one is certainly not over for the Orioles. Again, 2, 3, 4 coming up this inning. The one thing Jim Johnson usually does, of course, he usually doesn't pitch 2 innings and then come back the next night, is he doesn't walk guys. Only 5 walks coming in. And then that was over 20 1/3 innings. About a hit an inning, though. Good stuff, though. He has a big overhand curveball, but this year, as we mentioned last night, really hasn't pitched that much ahead, and this is another illustration where he can use it.
Well, in the relief role, you have to come in throwing strikes. Yeah. I mean, that's part of your job. You have to be a strike thrower. And then second, don't get beat on your second or third best pitch. And that's what we've had trouble with in our bullpen. We fall behind, then try to tinker with off-speed stuff and leave it up in the zone, and it gets killed.
Looks to me like Jason Bergman has become a believer.
Just bring it. Like Clay Carroll used to say, I can bring it. Just bring it. Least challenge, especially like you've been saying, this is more of a pitcher's park than a hitter's park. And I used to love, like, say, the Houston Astrodome. I'd throw more fastballs because I knew it was harder for you to hit it out. So I'd challenge guys, make them put the ball in play, let my defense work for me.
Yeah, and you pitched at a big part of the ballpark.
And I had Eric Davis out there, too.
You saw Cabrera warming up alongside Hanrahan.
Yeah, but he already sat down, so he's probably just getting his throwing in. And there's your borderline pitch to one of the better on-base percentage guys, not only for the Nationals, but certainly in the National League.
How about Nick Johnson? He comes in tonight with an on-base average of .434. He's been on base 3 out of 4 at-bats. Typical night for Nick.
Yeah, Jim Johnson does exactly what he didn't want to do. The only good news, Nick's not going to steal a base.
No.
But you're now one swing away if you're the Nationals from taking the lead.
Amber Theo Harris with some possible things ahead about the Orioles and a young pitcher, Amber.
That's right, Bob. And Jim Palmer, you've been following this as well. We know that Tuesday the Orioles will need a starter now that Adam Eaton has been released from the team. We just got word from Norfolk that Chris Tillman was taken out of the game after just 2 innings. Now, we're told that there was no apparent injury, but we're waiting for the end of the game when Gary Allenson, the manager, makes his comments to the media to confirm that there was no injury. We won't know until then, so the guessing game continues. But I also should mention David Hernandez, who's another candidate that's been mentioned for the call-up. He struck out 14 last night, so the competition's heating up. A lot of young arms trying to get to the big leagues. Bob?
And that's eerily similar to the Craig Stammen situation, who was called up to start here on Thursday night. That was his turn to pitch for Syracuse at Louisville after a day off on Wednesday, but instead found himself making his major league debut. Zimmerman takes a fastball upstairs after fouling one back. And the count's 1-1 on Ryan, who's 1 for 2 with a single, a walk, and a swinging strikeout.
That's about 7 pitches, not one of them, when your sinker baller has been around the knees.
Well, last year he had an impingement problem in the shoulder.
And he had it in the spring again.
Right, you talked about this. So they lengthened his delivery with his stride. And I don't think I can remember a guy being about 6'5", 6'6" that has such a short stride. He kind of almost teeters over when he delivers the ball instead of getting over that front leg.
Well, they actually lengthened it a little bit, and that again for him, he just seemed to be much more comfortable when he did that. And he also, to me, relieving's harder than starting because got to come right out and be on, and, kind of like 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
You can't just push a button, but that's the way relievers have to be.
2-1 pitch.
And there's your first sinker.
Near the corner.
Big guy, and they brought him up a couple of years ago. The pitch spot starts, so again, just the longer stride, and boy, he gets out there. And for him, when he's on his game, and I'm not sure he's on his game tonight, that allows him to sink the ball. and sink it with good velocity.
Hitters better know if it's near the outside corner, be hacking. Zimmerman hacks that one. It almost took Torres into left center with it. Can't hit the ball any harder. 1 out.
Okay, so you're Dave Tremblay. You have seen Jim Johnson in the last 2.5 years. He's not commanding his stuff. Watch this ball get whacked right at Torres. I mean, that ball, if it gets by him, it's probably a double.
Yeah, that's
he hit it that hard. Now, do you bring in Jamie Walker, who is he's a left-handed specialist, but he's not getting left-handers out, nor is he getting right-handers out.
And if Johnson's ball's
I think he's staying
sinking,
with the sinker baller, though. Take a shot if the other guy's not getting anybody out.
I guess we're just trying to set up what Dave is probably thinking. He said, he's probably not sinking the ball like he's supposed to. And again, you're one swing away from taking a lead if you're the Nationals with these guys coming up.
But I also, and this is the way I used to think, and I'm sure you thought the same way, I'm one pitch from getting out of this inning.
Yeah.
Ground ball, double play, and I'm out.
And they don't play the shift the way they do with nobody on base. Usually Torres would be well to the second base side of that bag. Adam Dunn rips one right through the wickets of Nick Johnson and the shift. And the Nationals have first and second. 1 out. If Nick Johnson tries to take off and run, that ball might have taken his leg off.
Famous Dave's on the swing right here. This is Adam trying to work out of his slump. Just hits this ball very hard right between the wickets, the 5-hole of Nick Johnson. I'm sure Nick is very happy that didn't hit him.
Yeah, and that keeps him from going to third base. I mean, what would you want if you're the Nationals? You want the first and third. You don't have to get a base hit. Makes Kearns certainly a better hitter that steps to the plate.
I think the bottom line here for the Nationals, guys, Adam Dunn has his first multi-hit game in quite a while. And he's got the same expression whether he's 2 for 4 or 0 for 4. He just loves playing this game.
And Rick Kranitz, the Oriole pitching coach, probably saw something and came out and, hey, you know what? Make your pitch. You got a guy that's been slumping, even though he got a base hit his first time up. You figure if you make your appropriate pitch, maybe you get out of this inning with a double play ball. If not, that could spell trouble.
Austin Kearns 1 for 3. He's pulled the ball 3 times. Base hit to left, 2 grounders to Mora. If Baltimore gets out of this inning with the lead, the bottom of the Nationals lineup not what it has been in recent weeks with the injuries, especially Dukes and Flores. Manny Acta knows this might be his shot right here in the 8th.
Yeah, I mean, the way Kearns has not really been swinging the bat well, Willie Harris, Bard, and then Maxwell, they have to pick it up a notch. Austin's average has dropped down to 214 right now.
So anytime you throw, a 5 for 38 in there, it's going to dive.
But the one thing that we've noticed with Austin is he will not cut down with 2 strikes. And you've got to cut down your swing, get defensive, and just put the ball in play.
That is a foul ball. 2 weeks ago tonight, when the Nationals had just started their series at Arizona, Austin Kearns was hitting .261.
Well, you be the judge. If it goes over the bag, even if it goes into foul territory, it's a fair ball.
That looked like might have caught a corner of the bag on the way by. Tough call. I don't know how the umpires know fair or foul on something like that.
Well, you can see Bill Welke, who's the brother umpiring behind the plate right there. What, a half an inch maybe, if that?
Just maybe a seam of the ball.
Yeah, he was certainly in the right position to call it. Of course, that doesn't mean they always get it right, but that's part of being a good umpire.
1 and 2 to Kearns. Another double play ball for the Orioles. That's what's been happening to the Nationals lately. An inch away from a double and then a double play ball. This game into the ninth. 2-1 Baltimore. Games here. Orioles trying to make it 2 in a row. You can text in your vote for the AT&T Player of the Game. A. Ross Detweiler, 6 outstanding innings. B. Christian Guzman, 2nd homer of the year, Washington's only run. Or C. Aubrey Huff, who's triple in the 7th, pinch hitting the difference in this game. Text in your vote now. Have your voice heard. Text A, B, or C to 51862. Joel Hanrahan trying to reestablish himself as a young closer. 20 appearances, high ERA, 24 strikeouts, 9 walks. And Rob Dibble, a fastball that touches the mid to upper 90s.
Ask the Hall of Famer.
But it did the other night. Yeah, he pitched great the other night.
But he always wants to tinker with the breaking ball.
Gets a 1-pitch fastball, ground ball to Guzman. Retired is Wigginton.
Now, there's a way to cure that. It's just you don't put down 3 for slider. I mean, that's most obvious place to me. But I saw Armando.
I just said that the other night. I said, why don't they just call his pitches from the bench?
Armando Benitez. Armando Benitez came up here throwing 100 miles per hour. Now, Joe's a little bit. He throws, 95 to 97. Yep. He touched 97 the other night. But Armando would constantly speed up bats, throw fastballs right by people. He did it in the playoffs. Cost the fact, Marquise Grissom, who coaches for the Nationals, hit a 3-run home run to turn the whole series around after he was late on a fastball and a slider. So again, I think part of it is the experience factor. The other part is that your catcher has to go 1, 1, 1. And there's Marquise,
who hit 500 off of me in his career.
Well, he was a terrific player.
Not happy about that.
You didn't throw him any sliders, did you?
I threw him everything I could, everything I had, and he still hit it. Now he was a tough competitor. Tough out at the top of the order.
Zimmerman. That was interesting.
Yep.
Ryan had 2 long hops, but he charged the ball so aggressively it made the second hop a short one. They're going to give him his 6th error of the year. He might have been better waiting for that sharply hit ball.
This is a tough error right here. This is a shot. Tough in between hop right there. It's going to hit him in the skin.
Yeah, I played with a guy that won 16 gold gloves, and I know Zimmerman's one of the best fielding third basemen. But if you're going to play it that way, Brooksy would. I'm talking about Brooks Robinson. He would have played it off his stomach, made sure he knocked it down. Because otherwise, it's a gamble. I got to agree with you, Bob. But you don't have a whole lot of time to make up your mind over there.
Yeah, that's why they call it the hot corner.
Ex-Motor Night, famous Dave's best tasting, most award-winning ribs in America.
I see Hank Allen and his brother Richie, of course, one of the great players, great hitters, and they moved him to third base, and he said, I actually kind of like it. I don't have to think much over there. You either get in front of it or you try to get out of the way. And he called it a reflex position.
Runner going, and a pop-up out behind second. He has no idea, the runner, where the ball is. This will be a double play. Except Willie Harris throws it high, and Nick Johnson stays on the bag. Christian Guzman made Nolan Reimold look like Lonnie Smith from the World Series on that play. Aflac, we've got you under our wing. Within the shadow of our nation's capital, it's the bottom of the 9th. Orioles 2, Nationals 1. And George Sherrill, who saved his 8th game of the year last night, looking for number 9. A reminder again tomorrow, first 10,000 kids 12 and under, a free Ryan Zimmerman kids jersey. ExxonMobil presents it to you. 888-632-NATS, nationals.com. Stop by the box office on your way down, but you may want to get here early. Those 10,000 will go pretty quickly.
George Sherrill last year, really good year early on, made the All-Star team, came over in the Eric Bedard trade along with Tillman, who may pitch on Tuesday. Adam Jones, the center fielder, 31 saves. This year was a struggle early. Talked about it last night, changed his mechanics. His manager said, you know what, you're not getting righties out. He's very good against lefty. There's only 2 for 21. So they're hitting under 100 off of George Sherrill at 091. They said, George, we're probably going to use you more situationally. And all of a sudden the stuff got better. The focus got better because he has Mr. Excitement. Didn't walk anybody last night, but he usually throws in a walk or so in about every appearance. At least he did last year.
Well, I just think it's a game of adjustments. And you have to adjust to their adjustments. Once they figure you out, you better figure out what they figured out. I was lucky enough one time, a friend of mine on another team told me what the scouting report was on me. So I got lucky. But for George Sherrill, he's got to be deceptive. He's got to have pinpoint command because he's not going to be able to blow you away with 98 like Joel Hanrahan.
I just wonder. This is interesting. Ronnie Belliard's on the bench, right-handed batter, but Maniacta stays with Willie Harris here. Sherrill got Belliard on a line drive to short to end the game last night.
Yeah, the numbers don't support this. Again, 2 for 21 lefties. But again, maybe it's a situation where Belliard is not swinging the bat well, and Harris, of course, he's been up now, 3 times?
He's been on base 12 of his last 13 games. A sacrifice when he was bunting for a hit and a clean single to right tonight.
There's Ronnie Belliard on the bench.
Nationals are not long on bench players, only 4 extra men because they're carrying a very player-heavy bullpen. 1-2 to Harris. Breaking ball, and he just was able to stay with it.
Yeah, he hung that ball, got it up in the zone. One thing about George Sherrill, he's not your prototypical lefty. He's not going to turn it over. Everything is pretty much left to right. He cuts the fastball. There's your hanging curveball. And again, down a little bit lower, it would have been a lot easier to hit. Sometimes you get lucky and you hang it out of the zone.
Got him looking. 1 out.
Well, there's that knee-high cheese.
Cheese at the knees.
Let's update the voting on the AT&T player of the game. Aubrey Huff's hits the difference in this game right now. I might be tempted to vote a write-in vote for the Baltimore bullpen.
Yeah, the kid deserved it.
Ross Detweiler, 42%.
Second great start in a row.
Most of our precincts reporting.
Mom and Dad have to be very happy.
Switch hitting Bard now from the right side. Josh Bard right-handed this year, 2 for 7. And again, the Nats from 5 down to 8 or 9. Not a whole lot of thunder in this lineup at the moment. Baltimore pitching holding them to 3 runs in better than 2 full games at the moment.
Yeah, the amazing
innings last night, and this is inning number 21.
And the bullpen, of course, 6 1/3 last night, and Uehara left back in the 3rd. Only the home run by Guzman. So the only run off Brian Bass. Of course, again, it's only a 1-run ball game. Anything could happen. Double, single, blooper. Ooh.
And evidently by tomorrow morning, nobody will be in church praying for these ERAs anymore.
Last pitch, he takes something off of the breaking ball right there. Beautiful. 72. Down low. Even if you make a mistake, make it down there.
Josh Bard 0 for 3 tonight. Fastball up. Counts even. Justin Maxwell on deck. He's 0 for 3 tonight and 0 for 6 in the series. 2-2 to Bard. Breaking ball locked him up. He's not on the run, so he'll be tagged out by the catcher Zahn, who will throw it just in case. 2 outs.
I'll tell you what a play. And, The one thing about Greg Zahn, he'll get frustrated when he doesn't get his base hits, but trying to get a ball by him is like trying to get an In-N-Out burger by me.
Hey, I love In-N-Out burger.
Oh, they're
also.
great right here. I mean, there's your 59-foot curveball.
Yep.
Easily could get by Greg Zahn for a wild pitch and a strikeout. There's the swing by Josh Bard. So again, you just kind of kept it in front of him, tried to center it with his chest protector. What a terrific job. And again, in a one-run ball game.
Maxwell 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Generous strike one.
Yep. Yeah, he looked like it was probably outside a little bit.
Ronnie Belliard, Manny Acta was saving him for the 9-hole. May not get there. Now the Orioles 1 strike away from winning the series with a game tomorrow.
And I think they'd even the Beltway series up, wouldn't they?
This would make it 10-10 over the last 3 years. 4 years, actually, starting in 06. Off-speed breaking ball. Looked like Maxwell couldn't pull the trigger had he wanted to. It was a little bit low. What was that swing?
That's an emergency hack.
Game over.
It's over.
And in 2.5 hours, the Orioles do it again.
So, Mr. Excitement, George Sherrill, now 9 out of 11. And there's your emergency hack. Low strike called. Strikes out the side in the